Hello everyone, today I'm excited to introduce you to a brand new series that's incredibly funny, bold, thrilling, and now let's dive into the content. The story begins with the scene of a young man who looks like he's lazy and greedy, but he's actually the protagonist of this story. His name is Houseen, and just like his name suggests, he prefers a laid-back life rather than hardships. You might think he's just a useless person sitting at home waiting to die, but you couldn't imagine that he would actually cross over to another world. He's brought into a fantasy world of cultivating immortals, a world where everyone idolizes and admires those cultivating immortals. It's been over 3 years. And every day he sees these immortals flying in the sky fighting battles. Even a ferryman here is a hidden master. When he crossed over, he gained a system like many others, but it's a bit lacking and he doesn't bother paying much attention to it. Not only that, he also has a secret technique hidden in the host's home, but the name of this secret technique sounds a bit off, like it's some kind of joke. It's a mysterious ancestral martial art, and he has no idea what it's used for. On the other hand, he also has another secret on his back, demon wings, and he doesn't understand what's going on here either. As far as he knows, they belong to Western cultivators, so it's strange that he also has a pair. Everything seems to be in place for him, except for one thing, motivation. Lying on the table, he sighs, cultivating immortals is too exhausting. I really don't want to do anything except eat and sleep. But that's not a good solution. If I keep wasting time like this, I'll be punished by the heavens. In his mind, he imagines the scene of the Jade Emperor holding a stool and chasing after him, shouting, "Do you know how much effort it took for me to obtain this opportunity for you? Do you know how many people couldn't obtain it due to unalterable rules?" Feeling uneasy, he realizes he needs to do something about it. First, he decides to do 10 push-ups to regain some motivation. After one push-up, his expression changes. After the second, he's sweating profusely and turning pale, and before he can do the third, he collapses on the ground, feeling defeated. Forget it, let's just accept the consequences. I've tried my best, but I can't do it, he murmurs in resignation. He dreams of a powerful life of cultivating immortals, only for it to end so peacefully. He cries uncontrollably beside his portrait, saying, "Farewell. I pray you go to heaven and never encounter laziness again." Meanwhile, lying on the grassy plain, he thinks, "I thought being a useless person like me would just let life pass by. Cross over for a lifetime only to admire the clouds isn't so bad after all." Who would have thought that besides laziness, humans have another fatal flaw? Suddenly, the system reminds him, there's only 100 days left for the final task. Failure will result in the system immediately killing the host. He panics and shouts, "What is this? There's a deadline now. And what's with this killing?" Immediately after, he's given a surge of motivation and runs like mad. This damn system never mentioned there was a time limit. "I'm going to die soon, so I have to complete the task quickly or I'll really die." He rides a horse like a madman, constantly reminding himself, "I have to complete the task quickly or the system will kill me. I just crossed over here and haven't had enough fun yet. I don't want to die like this." He runs from this hill and crosses endless plains to reach his task point, which lies ahead of Yuntai Mountain, a seemingly ordinary mountain. He props himself up on the ground, panting heavily, and says, "Finally arrived. If it were any farther, my old hips would have snapped in half." Looking ahead, he realizes that the target of his mission is probably that worn-out ball over there. Damn, running for over 3 months for a torn ball. At least I made it in time. He touches the gem, and it immediately lights up. The system appears and announces, "Congratulations on successfully activating the gem. Next, let me introduce you to the heavenly place." The system explains, the heavenly place is contemporary to the era of the Jade Emperor, known as the Golden Age in the history of the heavenly place. Among the 12 martial arts peaks, any chosen one can defeat any leader from other eras in the heavenly place. However, the heavenly place was entirely destroyed in the year 1473 according to the Jade calendar, and all 12 martial arts peaks died in the battle. The mastermind behind the scenes is a group of 9 mysterious figures that unexpectedly appeared from the west. They call themselves the Night Organization, and he is currently in the Jade Calendar year 773, 700 years before the heavenly place was destroyed. His task is to increase the power of the 12 martial arts peaks, to help them surpass themselves and develop into top-notch individuals, to save the common people for the next 700 years. After the introduction, the system also rewards him for completing the first task. An item is given to him, the Great Sage card, a consumable item that can temporarily enhance the user's strength to a level capable of defeating deities. The second task for the host is initiated. The objective is to go to Flower Fruit Mountain and find Sun Wukong in his novice stage, and increase Sun Wukong's potential power by 30%, the system announces. As he witnesses Sun Wukong's image on the system screen, he freezes for 5 seconds. That fierce expression strikes him directly in the eyes. He angrily throws the system to the ground, cursing incessantly, "Are you kidding me? How can you call this the novice stage?" Then, in a fit of rage, he stomps on the system board relentlessly. Is it necessary to move halfway across the map just to watch a video? Can't we do it directly on the system? He exclaims furiously. I seriously suspect that your system is playing tricks on me. Do you know how I've managed to survive for the past 3 months? I've been in this crossover for 3 years, and I've never gone crazy like this before, you damn system. Fortunately, the first task has been postponed for over 3 years, and this task is probably the same, he says with a smirk, trying to ease his frustration. But dreams don't come easy. The system slaps him in the face with a notification, the task completion time is 3 days. Seeing this message, he loses it and shouts, "You damn system. You're a real piece of work, deliberately targeting me, aren't you?" After finishing his tirade, he grabs his belongings and runs like mad because there's no time left to argue with the system. Otherwise, he might end up selling salt and eating naked chicken. After 3 days on the outskirts of Flower Fruit Mountain, a group of people surrounds him. The one being besieged is our Houseen, who begs for mercy, saying, "Elders, please speak slowly. Please don't make any sudden moves." Surrounding him are fake cultivating immortals with fierce expressions. The old man leading them is one of the 3 major sect masters, Sect Master Tianmen Lu Yuan, in the late stage of Yuan cultivation. He says, "A mortal like you in this demon mountain, what are you doing here? Speak quickly." Terrified, Houseen stammers, "I'm just picking herbs and accidentally wandered into this place. Please forgive me, esteemed elder." Houseen thinks to himself, why does this have to happen? The Monkey King hasn't even been found yet, and now a bunch of cultivating immortals has discovered me. This person's appearance doesn't seem very friendly. Then a young woman speaks up, "Just a mortal daring to enter the area full of demons. Don't you know your own limits? Leave quickly." Hearing this, he stands up and retorts, "Yes, yes, little one, get lost immediately." But it's not that easy because the old man then smiles chillingly and says, "Wait a minute, I have a brilliant idea. Why don't we suck all the blood essence from this little guy, then refine it into a blood chi pill? Maybe we can attract 2 more demon beasts." Hearing this, Houseen's eyes widen in shock as he says, "What? Why would you suck out my blood essence?" He's sweating profusely as he continues, "Aren't you cultivators supposed to be righteous? How can you do such a thing? Moreover, isn't there a rule in the cultivating immortals world that cultivators are not allowed to harm ordinary people?" Hearing this, they all look dumbfounded, then burst into laughter like madmen, tears streaming down their faces. The old man maintains his terrifying expression and says, "You, little brother, are so naive and cute. There's no such rule here. The big fish eating the small fish is the only rule in the cultivating immortals world." Hearing this response, Houseen drops his jaw in disbelief and falls to the ground, stunned. He scrambles to his feet and says frantically, "Don't come near me. I'll have you know I have a secret weapon." Houseen quickly takes out the Great Sage card and thinks, there's no other way but to use it now. When I meet the Monkey King, I can think of other ways. After using it, he immediately feels a powerful and overwhelming energy surging through his body, feeling like he's about to explode. The others are baffled, not understanding what's happening. They wonder about the aura emanating from Houseen. Meanwhile, Houseen, feeling invigorated by the surge of power, thinks to himself, this is the feeling of being strong. It's amazing. He then looks at them with a fierce expression and sharp fangs, saying, come at me, all of you. Don't you want the big fish to eat the small fish? Today, I'll teach you all a lesson you won't forget. But within a second, everything disperses, and he's left confused about what just happened. The sect master witnessing this scene is left speechless. Houseen, shocked, thinks to himself, what on earth just happened? Wasn't that too short? Is this too short a time? At this moment, the system also appears and says, congratulations, host. The Great Sage card has been successfully used. Your Great Sage will arrive on the battlefield in 10 minutes. Hearing this windy remark from the system, Houseen's face darkens, and he cries bitterly, biting his teeth into his heart. What is this? Why didn't you mention the cooldown time earlier? Isn't this harming my teammates? Oh no, this is a disaster. What do I do now? Then, the old man rushes over and grabs Houseen by the collar, interrogating him, tell me, what was that aura just now? Suddenly, there's a voice from behind, hey, little guy without fur, what are you doing? Behind them is a gigantic dragon roaring continuously. However, the focal point is the figure standing in front of it, the real owner. He says, stop staring and listen to me, old man. Along with his words, many other monkey descendants appear, standing on top and wielding swords, looking quite cool. None other than the young Monkey King, son Wukong, in his prime. Monkey King then says, lately, you've been lurking in the shadows hunting down my descendants, right? Seeing this scene, the old sect master is terrified, thinking to himself, oh no, what bad luck. Running into the Demon King here. Why did he have to appear now? I only killed a few of his mid-level demon minions. Did he really have to personally come out like this? Going out to relieve some stress and ending up like this. There's no time to seek help from the ancestors anymore. Damn it, the old master gathers his spiritual energy and unleashes it into the sky, forming strange patterns. Then he shouts loudly, why are you all stunned? Stall for time for me. As long as I have time to deploy higher level spells. It'll be fine. Hearing this, the disciples panic and say, oh heavens, even our sect master dares to say that? That's the Demon King. Don't you understand? Hearing the disciples panic, the old sect master's face turns pale with fear. He mutters to himself, what can we do with our low-level spells? They're not even enough to scratch an itch. Prolonging the time for what? It's over. Am I really going to die here today? I haven't even had the chance to experience the scent of a man yet. The old man saw that the group had already lost all courage to fight, so he shouted loudly, enough of your nonsense. As long as my treasure absorbs enough energy, even the Demon King will have to die. Hearing the old man's arrogant words, Monkey King sneered and said, oh, impressive. If you're so confident, then I'll just lie here sunbathing and wait for you. No need to hurry. Prepare your spells well. If they're not strong enough, I can give you more time. The disciples were left speechless by Monkey King's actions, while Houseen kept clapping in excitement, thinking, exactly, the longer the better. The reason Houseen was excited was that his Great Sage card still had 8 minutes left to activate. Hearing Monkey King's arrogant words, the old man burst into laughter and said, it's all because of what you said. Don't embarrass yourself in front of your monkey descendants. After 5 minutes, the old man's ultimate move became extremely powerful, forming a vortex. Seeing this, Monkey King stood up and said, are you done yet? I've been waiting for ages. Monkey King's gaze at this moment was not excessive confidence but determination. Then the old man's attack directly struck towards Monkey King. Laughing like a maniac, the old man said, "You foolish monkey. Do you think you resemble the dumbest villain in novels? Do you know that this is the true immortal weapon bestowed upon me by the ancestors? Its only weakness is the lengthy activation time." One of the disciples, seeing this scene, exclaimed, "What is an immortal weapon? Is it a divine weapon from the heavenly place? Even I have never seen it before." With this, even the demon king would have to yield. After saying this, the old man exerted more force to deliver a final blow. Bidding farewell to the wretched monkey for their next encounter, a high-level magic circle appeared in the air, launching waves of attacks directed at Monkey King. The old man, thinking he had already won, smiled maniacally with confidence. The disciples behind him were also greatly affected, each of them forced to retreat due to the overwhelming power of this technique. Even Monkey King's descendants were caught in the same situation. The old man stood there shouting, "You wretched monkeys, go and die," as he launched his attack towards Monkey King. However, Monkey King remained standing there as if nothing had happened, with an amused expression on his face, suggesting that perhaps the technique was not as effective as intended. Then a loud explosion shook the area, causing the old man to jump back. Witnessing this, the old man laughed maniacally and shouted, "Haha, turn into dust, you wretched monkey. I told you that once the immortal weapon is activated, you will surely die. How dare you defy me?" Suddenly, a voice interrupted the old man's joy. "Are you celebrating a bit too early, old man?" Startled, the old man turned around to see who was speaking, only to be met with a giant Monkey King as large as a mountain preparing to strike. Terrified, the old man exclaimed, "What's happening? There are no wounds, yet he's becoming gigantic like this." Monkey King responded, "Take a good look. I'll show you what true power looks like." As the words trailed off, the punch was thrown with such force that it pierced through many mountains behind, narrowly missing the old man's face, leaving him frozen in place, too afraid to move. Witnessing this scene, the disciples were horrified and exclaimed, "Oh my God, a single punch just demolished several mountains." With a satisfied look, Monkey King looked down and asked the old man, "Do you still want to continue, little guy?" Seeing the almost absolute power displayed, there was no way to retaliate further. The old man cried out desperately, "The great monkey, unparalleled. Please spare this humble mortal a chance to live." Seeing the old man's intense distress, Monkey King shrunk back and approached Houseen with a gaze full of hostility. Bewildering him completely, Houseen, sweating profusely and trembling, stammered, "Mr. Big Shot, I didn't come with them." Meanwhile, the system panel nearby continued to announce that the Great Sage card would arrive in 40 seconds. Houseen panicked in his thoughts, "Mr. Big Shot, please don't pay attention to me. I'm just a side snack, why would you bother with me?" While he was lost in his thoughts, Monkey King had already swung his fist and said, "Your little guy just gave me an unusual feeling, quite uncomfortable, actually." Seeing this scene, Houseen was terrified to the point of desperation and shouted out, "Mr. Big Shot, please wait. I truly came to seek the Great Sage to be my master." Hearing this, Monkey King paused and inquired further. Seizing this opportunity, Houseen knelt down and said, "Master, please accept this disciple's bow. Since the age of 3, I've heard the legendary tales of the mighty Monkey King on Flower Fruit Mountain. The greatest dream of every child in our village is to ascend Flower Fruit Mountain and become your disciple. Today, finally, I have the opportunity to fulfill that dream. Please, Master, you must accept me as your disciple. Otherwise, I won't be able to live." Hoo-hoo, looking at the system panel, which indicated there were only 15 seconds left, Houseen felt a sharp pain in his heart. It was only now that he realized how slowly time passed in such situations. He continuously urged in his mind to extend the time a bit longer. Hearing his desperate pleas, Monkey King couldn't help but tease, "Oh, am I really that famous out there? Of course, I wouldn't dare to deceive anyone. If I were to lie, I'd be struck by lightning 5 times, replied Houseen, his words filled with anxiety. As soon as Monkey King uttered those words, he turned his face and said, in that case, you're even more deserving of death. With only 3 seconds left in his life, hearing this made Houseen terrified to the point of desperation. He kept asking, why would you say that? But Monkey King paid no attention and leaped forward to engage Houseen in combat. Because this Monkey King didn't trust humans at all, he also scornfully stated that humans were fundamentally unworthy of being his disciples. A strike from this Monkey King caused a large explosion. After the dust settled, he was curious and suspicious. What just happened? Where did that human go? Isn't that little guy just a mortal? Then, he turned back and was astonished. The scene before him now was a splendid golden armor set. Fortunately, at this critical moment, Houseen's great sage card arrived just in time. Now in the peak state of Sun Wukong, Houseen exclaimed, truly worthy of being the 12 peak bosses. He glanced down and evaluated his true strength, which was truly terrifying. Witnessing this scene, Monkey King also felt a bit panicked, thinking to himself, what kind of situation is this? Why do I feel so familiar with it? Houseen's formidable momentum at this moment was extremely intimidating, causing everyone to feel frightened. He glanced at Monkey King with a cold gaze, which made Monkey King take the situation seriously and think, why is this happening? Why do I feel so familiar? Suddenly, Houseen disappeared on the spot, only to reappear directly behind the old sect master. He grabbed a stick and struck the old man several times, saying, you immortal old man, did you want to refine me into a blood-cheap pill? Everything in your life might be correct. But messing with me was a big mistake. As a super revengeful male lead, once he had power in his hands, no one could escape. He grabbed the old man's leg and continuously beat him while cursing, come here and fight, wasn't it you who initially said the big fish eats the little fish? Not only that, he even put the old man in a position for a spanking technique, causing the old man to cry out in pain without the strength to struggle. Houseen, filled with resentment, demanded, where is your arrogant strength now? Show it to me. Hearing this, the old man cried and pleaded, Senior, I was wrong, I was wrong. Please spare me. Witnessing this scene, Monkey King was initially bewildered, but then he grinned and said, this is getting interesting. He and his dragon companion emitted a terrifying aura as he said, alright, stop wasting time with that trash. Come play with me, your highness. After his provocation, Houseen also turned back to look, but before he could react, a resounding voice echoed, evil monsters dare to cause chaos. Accompanying that voice, a figure appeared in the sky, exuding an immensely powerful aura. Seeing this figure, the old sect master rejoiced and cried out, an immortal. A true immortal. Please save my child, he's being bullied by these malevolent monkeys. The old man laughed and pointed towards Houseen and Monkey King, saying, the immortal from the heavenly place has descended. You demonic creatures are surely doomed. The immortal smiled knowingly and said, that's correct. With his imposing demeanor, the immortal confidently said, why haven't you evil monsters bowed down upon seeing the heavenly place? Sitting on the ground, Monkey King retorted, the heavenly place. Just a bunch of featherless creatures. When I have time, I'll go up there and destroy you all. As he finished speaking, he immediately used the golden light binding spell. The immortal, however, didn't dodge or evade, standing confidently for Monkey King to bind him. Looking down with a cold expression, he said, ignorant fool, do you think you have any strength at all? He chuckled and boasted, is this all the strength you have? Let me show you how easily I can break free. After 30 seconds. The binding spell remained intact without any movement, leaving the immortal puzzled about what was happening. He then exerted force to break free, but the reality of being slapped in the face was swift and effective. No matter how much he struggled, it had no effect. He was now horrified, sweating profusely, and exclaimed, what in the world is this? How can the creatures of the lower realm become so powerful? While still trembling with fear and questioning the meaning of life, Monkey King's dragon approached, baring its sharp teeth eagerly. Witnessing this scene, the immortal was so terrified that he sweated profusely and pleaded, "Hey, please don't be so rough. I was just passing by, trying to show off a bit. Please, my brothers, don't overreact like this." With a quick swat, the dragon swallowed him whole, leaving a parting message, "Be careful down there, don't play foolishly like me. You'll meet your end someday." The sect master, shocked by this turn of events, was drenched in sweat as he muttered, "The celestial just vanished like that? Author, did you cut corners a bit too much?" Suddenly, the dragon's eyes changed, and a beam of light descended upon its body. Monkey King, observing this, chuckled and commented, well, looks like it made a breakthrough." Meanwhile, the old sect master lay on the ground in despair, murmuring, "The celestial, did you descend from afar just to give us more experience? It's over now, this time, we're surely doomed." From within the clouds, the initially red dragon had transformed into a different form. With its current appearance, it looked extremely powerful and impressive. The monkey descendants were terrified and exclaimed, "Heavens, it's getting bigger and bigger, like Flower Fruit Mountain." They looked up to the sky and whimpered, "Haha, I didn't expect to evolve into the 12 Dragon Kings. How exhilarating, it feels so good." Then, its eyes suddenly turned fierce as it thought, "Now I am the master. Even that filthy monkey is no longer my match." Before it could finish boasting, a golden cudgel descended from the sky. Witnessing this, it was astonished and asked, "What's this? I was just bragging a moment ago." It sweated profusely and stammered, what's going on?" Before it could recover from its shock, the golden cudgel fell, causing a tremendous explosion. At that moment, a massive crater was formed. The 12-winged dragon met its demise at the age of 765, marking the first death of a dragon in history. Witnessing this scene, the Monkey King and his attendants were instantly petrified on the spot, sharing the same fate. They saw their beloved Flower Fruit Mountain being destroyed. However, one among them had a more practical concern: "Where will we sleep tonight?" Houseen chuckled awkwardly and said, "Haha, sorry about that, it's my first time using this golden cudgel. The size is a bit hard to control." Meanwhile, the Monkey King remained fixated on the massive crater before him, his face turning pale with fear as he thought, "Oh my, even if I had another stick, I couldn't handle this." However, his inherent love for challenges never wavered. He turned back with a cold snort and said, "Relying on weapons doesn't make one a true hero. If you have the guts, let's settle it with our own strength." Seeing the Monkey King's confusion, Houseen agreed to this solemn proposal. He looked at the Monkey King with utmost confidence and said, "What do you want to compete in? Strength, speed, or endurance? Choose whichever you think you're best at, and I'll accommodate you to the fullest." Upon hearing these mocking words, it became furious and pointed its finger, saying, "I disdain you. You're only showing off because you have a slightly better weapon. So I'll use my worst speed to outdo you." Hearing this boastful talk, Houseen glanced over and retorted, "Worst speed? Huh, you foolish monkey." He silently thought, "I am your future, what are you best at that I don't already know?" After the banter, he displayed his formidable aura and said, "At the end of Panglai Island, do you know what is born there? An infinite flower. Do you know?" And upon receiving confirmation, he continued, "Very well, the one who obtains a petal of the infinite flower first wins." As soon as he finished speaking, he swiftly flew off. After gaining momentum in the air, he summoned his somersault cloud. At that moment, a streak of golden clouds passed by, and he grabbed a tuft of it before disappearing from the scene. Before disappearing, it managed to say, "I'll go ahead." The people below witnessing this scene exclaimed, "Such fast speed." The sect master, shocked, exclaimed, "Panglai Island is approximately 1,000,000 miles away." Then he turned around and saw that Houseen had also disappeared, startling him, "Oh, that monkey is also gone." Transitioning to Panglai Island, after landing face first, the Monkey King dragged himself up from the ground in frustration and shouted, "You despicable scoundrel, every time you fly, you don't care how you land, do you?" The somersault cloud also formed a disdainful expression towards him. The Monkey King angrily muttered, "Was it intentional? Those darn clouds were obviously intentional." After a while of cursing, it glanced at the infinite flower in front of it, smiling triumphantly because all 28 petals of the infinite flower were still intact. It seemed like victory was assured. After inhaling the fragrance, it returned to its original fighting position. Houseen looked up and asked, "Why are you just coming back now? This is not acceptable, being late like this is unacceptable. I've already returned early." It explained, rubbing its swollen face from being knocked down by the somersault cloud in anger, "I just had to deal with some other matters coincidentally. I was afraid of falling, so I chose to fly back on my own." Don't just stand there acting all pleased with yourself. Even if you come back early, it doesn't matter if you didn't get the lotus flower petal, you still lose, Houseen remarked with a surprised tone. "Oh, how do you know I haven't retrieved it yet?" Then it presented a lotus flower from the infinite pool, laughing loudly, "That's because I went ahead of you. I've already collected all the lotus flower petals and put them in my bag." The others gasped in amazement, "Wow, it really is the infinite lotus of Panglai Island. You managed to collect them all in just a brief moment of incense burning." The monkeys exclaimed in admiration, "Truly worthy of being the great king, you are so awesome." Hearing the praises, the Monkey King grinned triumphantly, but Houseen remained unimpressed and retorted, "What's the big deal? It's just a convenient way to do things." The Monkey King laughed maniacally, thinking it had won. At this point, it kept urging Houseen to admit defeat and stop talking nonsense. After hearing this, Houseen immediately said, "But there is a reason why I didn't pick the lotus leaf. It's because I didn't expect my body to accelerate so quickly that it caught the attention of celestial beings. To ensure safety, I hurriedly stopped without picking the lotus leaf." Upon hearing this, the Monkey King and the others fell silent on the spot. Then, it laughed so hard that tears streamed down its face and said to Houseen, "You're really good at bluffing." Along with that, the monkeys couldn't help but burst into laughter, holding their stomachs. "Huh, why didn't you mention that even the Jade Emperor saw you so scared that you fell down?" they joked. Then the Monkey King pointed straight at Houseen's face and said, "If you can really do that, then I'll plant a banana tree growing up to your house in the sky." Hearing this challenge, Houseen sneered, but to let it witness this power, he had to comply. He said, "It was already very dangerous just now. Do I have to perform it again?" Then he added, "Look closely, don't close your eyes." After gaining momentum, he shot forward at an incredible speed. A powerful shockwave was created due to his tremendous speed, tearing apart the space where he was. A fierce whirlwind generated by the excessively fast speed also appeared. The whirlwind column was so powerful that it pierced straight through the 9 layers of clouds. Witnessing this scene directly, the people and monkeys were extremely terrified, their mouths gaping wide enough to fit several lizards in. The sky at this moment also displayed unusual signs, with thunderous lightning flashing across the dark clouds, accompanied by an eye opening up, followed by a cluster of divine eyes opening to observe what disturbance had shaken the lower realm. At this moment, the young Monkey King stood frozen in place, looking in that direction and at the strange signs in the sky. His face turned pale with fear as he cursed, "What the hell is that?" Before he could regain his composure, Houseen had completed a full circle and returned. After successfully landing, Houseen exclaimed in amazement, "Damn, is he for real? Using such tremendous power, is there even any room for doubt? Luckily, I had my eye-covering trick, or I wouldn't have been able to casually reveal my abilities next time. It's too dangerous." In this moment, the young Monkey King experienced a kind of emotion that he had never felt before since his birth, and he realized that this emotion was called disappointment. Its pride was in its speed, but it had been utterly defeated, causing it to lose its self-assured demeanor. At this point, the system also announced, congratulations, host, for helping to increase the potential of Sun Wukong's youth by 5%. The current potential value has reached 15%, revealing to the seniors that Neja will come next. That's all for now. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe for more. Thank you all for watching the video. Hello everyone, it's me again, specializing in reviewing new and interesting stories, especially comedies. If you find them enjoyable, don't forget to like and subscribe to support me and give me more motivation. And now, let's get into the content. After witnessing the absolute power from him, Monkey King was utterly disappointed and slumped to the ground. This difference seemed like an insurmountable wall, and he said, "Am I just going to lose like this?" But shortly after, he raised his head to the sky and yelled, "I can't lose, I won't accept it." Then he turned and blamed Houseen, "You must have cheated. Are you relying on your fancy equipment? Winning without honor is not admirable." Seeing this stubborn refusal to accept defeat, Houseen didn't hesitate to respond, "Losing is losing. Why are you making a scene here? Or how about this, I'll lend you my equipment to wear, and then we'll have a rematch. What do you think? How about this, then? I'll lend you my equipment to wear, and then we'll have a rematch. What do you think?" He was startled by the straightforward response. Houseen looked smugly at him and taunted, "Well, then you won't have any excuses left to argue, right?" Upon hearing these words, Monkey King became ecstatic and exclaimed, all right, give it to me then. Watch me turn you into a cow dung field right away." But suddenly, Monkey King blushed and sweat poured down his face. He seemed to remember something and reconsidered, No, this won't do." After saying this, Monkey King promptly left, not forgetting to boast, "Let's call it a truce for today. We'll have a rematch another day." Then he signaled for his little brothers to leave. Seeing this arrogant Monkey King, the others were puzzled, but they had some suspicion that Monkey King seemed to be hiding something. The leader wanted to leave, but the followers insisted they stay. They shouted wildly, saying, "Mr. Big Shot, this is a golden opportunity." "That's right, Mr. Big Shot, the one who wants to exchange equipment is definitely not Mr. Big Shot's opponent. We can't just let this pass." Then they burst into tears, hitting the nail on the head. Flower Fruit Mountain has been blown away by him with just one blow. "Mr. Big Shot, you must seek revenge for our livelihoods. Otherwise, how can Mr. Big Shot face the elders under the golden stream?" Hearing these words, Monkey King also felt his warrior blood boiling within him. He turned back with a smug smile and said, all right, I understand, you guys can stop bothering me to death now." Then he looked at Houseen and said, "Give me the equipment, I'll exchange it, and then I'll be back." After hearing this again, Houseen finally became sure that this guy was problematic. With his personality, he couldn't possibly do such strange things. He then handed over the equipment to Monkey King, who quickly ran far away to change. Monkey King hurriedly changed his clothes, thinking to himself that he had to do it quickly. If he was discovered, he would be in big trouble. But how could he escape Houseen's gaze? He stood above, looking down and suppressing his laughter. Monkey King noticed and turned back like a stone statue on the spot. At this point, we can see another shock for this inexperienced young monkey. He was frightened and said, "Oh, I'm dead this time, it's over." Houseen couldn't hold back anymore, he just pointed at him and laughed, "What on earth is this, ha." Monkey King, in turn, got angry and chased after him, shouting, "You wretched fellow, come back here. I'm going to kill you." But the moment Monkey King fell silent was when he looked back. He was standing in front of all his little brothers, staring at each other eye to eye. Witnessing their great king like that, they were all stunned, unable to believe their own eyes. On the muscular arms of Monkey King were tattoos of Hello Kitty, frogs, pandas, and 7 colored rabbits, all incredibly adorable. The group of people from the sect master was horrified. Not a single one of them had any color left in their faces upon seeing it. The sect master stuttered, unable to speak properly, What is this? Are these tattoos of a notorious demon king? Oh my, with such a shocking revelation, can we survive and leave this place? At this point, Monkey King seemed to lose his mind and shouted loudly, "What are you laughing at? Do you think I won't punch you all to death? What's so funny? Why can't a demon king have cute tattoos? What's the problem? Damn it, I'll kill you all." Despite his little brother's continuous efforts to restrain him and calm him down, some of them couldn't help but laugh. After a moment of fierce struggle and anger, the scene turned into a tearful one. Monkey King lay on one side, hugging his knees, crying his heart out, murmuring to himself, "Hoo-hoo, why? Why can't a man like cute things? How can I show my face to anyone? Why would they still follow me? They'll laugh at me, the great king." After a while, Monkey King regained his composure. He tried to suppress his embarrassment and said, "No more nonsense. I can't afford to think about this anymore. I need to focus on this battle." Then, he unleashed a terrorizing aura far stronger than before. Because of this, he laughed maniacally and said, "Haha, indeed, the problem lies in the equipment. You'll know my skills this time." He then showed his determination through his eyes. In an instant, he charged at an incredible speed to attack him. Meanwhile, Houseen stood there, looking at him like a clown dancing around. He raised his clenched fist without knowing what to say, as he couldn't find a fitting name for this punch. He prepared to unleash his move, unsure of what to call it, so, he named it the Instant Death Fist. Seeing this, Monkey King sneered contemptuously, "Your technique is full of flaws. How could you hope to defeat me with that?" After finished speaking, a blow struck, causing a violent shockwave that shattered the surrounding rocks and earth into tiny fragments. Not only that, it also shook a corner of the continent. But in the blink of an eye, the battle came to an end. The scene now was once filled with fragrant flowers and strange grass, but it quickly turned into a desolate, barren wasteland. Each sensation of suffering enveloped the human, consciousness lost in the universe, faith then to ancient literature, followed by waves of unclear meanings to reality, rational communication, hope for time, slavery then to mastery, burning destiny with hatred, chaotic love binding liberation, deep darkness, stagnation then to freedom. The young Wukong seemed to grasp all truths, but it felt like losing everything. Now he lay at the bottom of a pit, the result of the recent powerful attack, and it was he who had to remain there. Monkey King was bewildered to find himself lying on the ground, his face pale and bloodless. Houseen approached and said to him, "You cannot understand, can you? What just happened is called the path of enlightenment, a kind of power of enlightenment." Hearing this from him, Monkey King only now realized the difference. A monkey thirsting for strength always desires to be stronger. He said, "How can I achieve it?" He continued, "Your martial path is too obsessed with perfection. Even if you pursue the most powerful weapons or eternal immortality methods, you have overlooked the truth that your grand path is not yet complete. Only by relinquishing perfection and simultaneously embracing reason and chaos can the true essence of the grand path of enlightenment be born. Then, martial arts will no longer be just simple techniques but an art of high-level enlightenment." These words struck deep into Monkey King's heart. He pondered over each word about the incomplete grand path, and they fiercely penetrated his thoughts. Each shattered piece of his martial heart was breaking apart. Then Monkey King felt as if he were falling into a timeless void. Amidst the fog, he sensed something crumbling within him, and along with it emerged another scene, a large closed door blocking his path. As Monkey King pushed open the door, what met his eyes was something he had never imagined, a new and unfamiliar path. Yet, he sensed his grand purpose existing here. Suddenly, a notification appeared in the system: Wukong's value potential has successfully increased by 30%. Congratulations, host, on completing the mission. A monkey thirsting for strength always desires to be stronger. He said, "How can I achieve it?" The reward is a top-tier character experience card. Ah no, it's Naja. Hello everyone, let's continue with the next episode of this story. After completing the system task, it awarded Houseen with another top-tier experience card for Neja, which made him very delighted. I never expected that every task reward would be such a top-tier character experience card. It's truly a great joy. Finally, my safety is guaranteed. How lucky. After witnessing Houseen's absolute power, Monkey King was also mesmerized. It knelt down and exclaimed, "Great sir, you are my benefactor. Please accept me as your disciple." It bowed low, earnestly pleading to be accepted. Seeing this, Houseen reiterated, "Accept you as my disciple. It's not impossible, but you must meet a condition for me to consider it." Hearing this, Monkey King became excited and asked eagerly, "Please tell me, I will fulfill any condition you set." As soon as Monkey King finished speaking, Houseen raised his voice to state his condition, with a smirk on his face. The condition was, in the future, you must not have any contact with anything adorable. Do you find my condition too simple? Upon hearing this condition from him, Monkey King turned into stone right on the spot. This shock was not insignificant for Monkey King, who turned pale and sweat profusely. This, what kind of request is this?" Houseen sneered at him, teasingly mocking, "As long as you swear not to have contact with anything cute, I will accept you as my disciple immediately. You only have two choices, one is to become a true man, and the other is to choose to be a quirky princess." Faced with this choice, Monkey King found it even harder than battling the Bull Demon King 300 times. Monkey King trembled at this choice because it was incredibly difficult for him. On one side was his innate preference for cute things, and on the other was the pinnacle of martial arts, which he had pursued his entire life. The more Monkey King looked, the more he felt like crying, and he sweated profusely. After a few seconds, he couldn't bear it anymore and shouted, "I'm sorry, master, I can't give it up." Monkey King's rationality couldn't overcome his own heart. Despite his regret, there was no other way because he couldn't change it anymore. He bowed his head in resignation, blaming himself. Monkey King also knew, a strong person should not be fond of quirky things, but I can't resist, I really can't resist, do you understand? Hearing these words from a demon lord, whose name alone made the major sects tremble in fear, now behaving like a child, Houseen couldn't help but chuckle at this scene. But then he put his arm around Monkey King and said, "I'm just kidding, you're truly foolish." Hearing him say that, Monkey King couldn't understand, and Houseen patted his head, saying, "We have the right to like anything as long as it doesn't harm anyone. Let's go beat up those miserable fools who dared to mock you." When Houseen said this, he probably didn't realize that he was the one mocking someone. In the future, if anyone dares to call you quirky, then your master will go with you to beat up that wretched person. Upon hearing these words, Monkey King remained silent, saying nothing. Then Houseen walked ahead and said, "What are you still standing there for? Hurry up." Monkey King obediently replied, "Yes," and ran after him. The young monkeys and others from the sect also ran after them, fervently pleading with the master to let them join, but he sternly refused, explaining that the more people there were, the more dangerous it would be. After a while, Houseen pondered, "It's true, I have to say it again. What exactly has happened in this world? Monkey King's attendant is clearly a Western creature, as is the sect master's magic, yet the locals don't seem to find anything strange about it. It's like they're used to it. Doesn't that mean that Western secret organizations will unexpectedly invade after 700 years? So what's happening now?" Lost in thought, the system suddenly appeared, startling him. Houseen jumped and cursed, "Oh my God, can't you stop appearing out of nowhere like this? My heart can't handle sudden shocks like this, you know." The system appeared to assign a new task to him. The third mission is unlocked, and the main content is to find the young martial goddess, Mysterious Lady, and increase potential by 30%. Upon hearing the task, Houseen solemnly remarked, "The first martial goddess in history, Mysterious Lady." Their reputations are indeed terrifying. The scene shifted to the palace of the Kingdom of Women, where various restrictive magic formations were scattered everywhere. Inside, a shadow was bound by chains and unable to move. This figure was the evil demon king, surrounded and sealed by powerful beings. He looked up and smirked wickedly, as expected of a king of a nation. You are not on the same level as those little sects and schools. The redhead with formidable aura was none other than the queen of the kingdom of women, Zhang Lian. She continued, after 3 days of hard battle, we finally captured your demon king. There's no need to struggle anymore, you won't escape. The demon's head twisted into a sinister form resembling a dragon's head. Then she continued, even if you turn into a pile of bones, there's no escape. Once the celestial formation takes shape, the entire cultivating immortals world will have no one capable of unraveling it. I'm confident in this. The demon king laughed loudly, the strongest formation on the continent. Indeed, it's not just a reputation, but what if I told you that I have truly mastered the power of the realm? Hearing this, she was startled and asked, what? Suddenly, a strange spatial vortex appeared under her feet, and she tried to escape but couldn't. After a while, she found herself in another space as dark as ink. The voice of the demon king echoed, impressive, isn't it? This is the power of my realm, the realm of power. Here, I am divine, the ruler of all existence. And you can only submit to my arrangement. After speaking, the demon king laughed maniacally and declared, you've lost. From today onwards, the entire kingdom of women will be my plaything. Of course, you'll be there too, the demon king added, switching scenes to 7 days later, on the outskirts of the kingdom of women. After some traveling, he was now nearing the destination. Although his disciple was only a few steps away, he was forced to postpone his arrival for another day. Monkey King was currently hiding behind a small rock and asked, does Master really want to transform into this form? Excitedly, Houseen replied, have you transformed yet? Hurry up so that Master can see. Monkey King then transformed into a cute and tiny form, but felt embarrassed, saying, I like cute things, but isn't this a bit too much? Blushing, it covered its face and exclaimed. Oh my, this is so embarrassing. Houseen looked at it and reassured, embarrassed about what? Didn't I tell you? This is part of your cultivation. You'll understand later. After saying that, he hugged Monkey King affectionately and said, have I ever harmed you? You should trust your master. However, deep down, he had dark thoughts. He did this to bring along a spiritual creature, which would reduce the chances of encountering strong enemies by 50%. But he was unaware that behind the rock, someone was stealthily watching him, with a dangerously sly smile on their face. At this moment, 2 figures approached from behind the rock. One was large and appeared extremely fierce, while the other was small and held a pipe, chuckling cunningly as he spoke, gentlemen, you have quite unfamiliar faces. You must be new travelers here, right? Then he rubbed his hands together and laughed heartily, looking at Houseen and joking, after traveling a long distance, you must be quite tired, aren't you? Therefore, you also need a place to rest. Let me introduce you to countless lively entertainments to relieve your worries, gentlemen. Hearing these absurd words, Houseen stood there bewildered, feeling like his mind was still stuck on a 2G network, unable to catch up with the frequency. He couldn't help but think of Zhengzhou, where the elders gathered to indulge in revelry, sweating profusely. Those were the places that felt like heaven when you entered but felt like ascending to heaven when you left. Houseen struggled to control his emotions while silently thinking, Houseen, what are you thinking? You shouldn't bring your earthly debauchery thoughts to this simple cultivating immortals world. This is a different realm, how could such places exist here? I must have made a mistake. Lost in his thoughts, suddenly the other person approached Houseen quickly and enticed, all are young beauties, and all 69 positions have reached the ultimate realm. Hearing this, Houseen was left speechless and frozen in place, resembling a naive child with the perplexed expression of Emperor Takuta, but then he jumped up and refused, no, I'm still a teenager. Do you guys know that? I'm not married yet. And I don't want the government to support me. Places like that will get you arrested by the police." Seeing Xian's rejection, the other person sneered coldly, then continued to entice. "Objective, I really don't want to hide anything from you, but I'll let you in on a thrilling truth. The kingdom of women has been captured by our Mr. Bigshot. You can choose any beauty in the entire city." Upon hearing this, Xian became puzzled and turned to show interest. Then, he pulled out a golden-colored pearl and continued to boast, "If I don't show you, you won't believe it. Take a look at this." Inside the pearl appeared images of beautiful girls with seductive figures, and he looked at Xian, saying, "These are all top-notch beauties from the kingdom of women. What do you think? Are you stimulated enough?" Xian was stunned by the scene, his face turning pale. Then, he heard him say, "If you feel like you need more excitement, you can continue to stimulate yourself a bit more, as we also have some expertise in this area. Just because you haven't thought about it doesn't mean we can't do it." Hearing the despicable words of these despicable individuals, Monkey King angrily retorted, "Are you all tired of living, you beasts?" After he finished speak, Monkey King punched him, sending him flying with a shattered face. The frightened individual stuttered, "You. What are you planning to do? Don't come any closer." Monkey King, raging with anger, retorted, "What am I going to do? Of course, I'm going to teach you a lesson." Xian, noticing the escalating situation, intervened, "That's enough, we have other things to attend to." Monkey King was taken aback when his master suddenly stopped him from attacking the despicable person, looking at him with confusion. Suddenly, Xian grinned and grabbed Monkey King's robe, then addressed the other person, "Sorry about this, my disciple doesn't quite understand manners, so he's gotten himself into trouble." With that, he swiftly pulled Monkey King away, saying, "No need to make any appointments. Farewell." The two individuals watched as Xian and Monkey King vanished into the distance, then sat down to discuss among themselves, calculating their next move. "Is it really that easy to let them go?" one of them questioned. The other, with anger in his eyes, replied, "Let them go. Cowards like them are not the ones we're looking for." After running for a while, Xian arrived at a certain place, with Monkey King following angrily behind him, still simmering with frustration. It was muttering to itself, "Why is my master such a coward?" Xian noticed Monkey King's demeanor and turned to ask, "What's wrong? Are you angry because I didn't say anything and just ran away?" Ignoring him, Monkey King turned away and said, "I don't know." Seeing this, Xian explained, "If what that guy, Mr. Bigshot, said is true, and they've taken over the entire kingdom of women, why would they need to discreetly lure customers in such remote wilderness? It feels like they're spreading information within a small scope, waiting for someone to take the bait they've carefully laid out." Hearing this, Monkey King was stunned and thought to itself, "Oh no, am I really that naive? But is it really like that? I'm just a young monkey, why would I think so much?" At this moment, Xian, with an angry expression, said, "The kingdom of women is probably just bait for these people. I'm sure they have bigger plans. But no matter what, these scumbags must be dealt with thoroughly. Currently, only 2 of them have appeared, but who knows if there are more in this multi-level marketing scam group. So, we can't stir up trouble recklessly. That's why I hurriedly ran away, you understand?" Hearing this, Monkey King felt enlightened and immediately knelt down, bowing its head, and said, "I was wrong, master. I misunderstood you as the most cowardly of rabbits, fearing death the most. I wrongly assumed that your previous strength was just a transient illusion." Monkey King's words didn't carry the weight of a holy sword, but each word pierced Xian's dark heart unintentionally, causing continuous emotional damage. Xian chuckled falsely, saying, "How could that be? Master couldn't be like that." But deep down, Xian had indeed fled instinctively earlier, only realizing the problem later and relying on his immense intelligence to change course. After resolving the issue with the bloodthirsty disciple, he said, "All right, no more wasting time. We have to sneak into the city and catch them off guard." Monkey King nodded vigorously, saying, "We'll all follow Master's lead." while the master and disciple were still engrossed in their conversation, suddenly someone appeared behind Houseen and said, "Hey, you two perverts over there, where do you think you're going?" Startled by the sudden voice, Houseen turned around, and the woman's gaze was filled with disdain and disgust, as if she wanted to devour them alive. She continued, "Your companions have been killed by me. Where do you think you're going?" Houseen also noticed that the two figures she held in her hand were the same ones from earlier. But how could she shrink them like that? At that moment, the system also notified that she was the mysterious lady, the target of Houseen's mission this time. After hearing this shocking news, he was surprised and broke out in a cold sweat. Damn, is she really the one? But why is she? At this point, she glared at Houseen, her anger palpable. You treat women as toys. You scum have completely reached my lady's limits. As soon as she finished speaking, she brandished her sword and attacked Houseen. He panicked and exclaimed, "Miss, could you at least listen to my explanation first before attacking?" Houseen was trembling with fear, feeling like he was about to wet his pants, but Monkey King, driven by his martial prowess and hot temper, retorted, "Master, why explain to her?" It was precisely because of his hot-headedness that he had managed to survive until now. With his blood boiling, he charged at the mysterious lady, ready to brawl, while taunting her, "If you're so good, then come at me," and that's the end of the story for now. See you in the next episode. Hello everyone, welcome to the next 2 episodes of this series. At this moment, both of them lunged at each other, with the Monkey King preparing his stance with his powerful fist, but unfortunately, before the Monkey King could strike, the mysterious lady hit him with a sword, splitting it into many pieces. However, there was something strange about its body, as it didn't feel anything when struck. The mysterious lady noticed and turned around, saying, "It's not real, just a decoy." At this point, the Monkey King suddenly appeared from another side, saying, "Your reaction is good, girl, but unfortunately, it's too late." As he finished speaking, he unleashed a powerful blow, causing a large area of earth and rocks to crack. After that attack, the mysterious lady lay in the pit created by the Monkey King's assault, and the battle seemed to have ended at this point. However, with her strong willpower, she refused to collapse, still able to move and stand up. The Monkey King chuckled in surprise, saying, "You faced my blow head-on and can still move? Then, the next move from me will be..." Before he could finish his sentence, he received a blow that twisted his face, making his teeth want to fly out. After being continuously slashed by the mysterious lady like cutting bananas, the Monkey King spat blood and thought to himself, "Damn, she strikes so fast and unexpectedly. How could she hit us like that? Her speed is incredible." After enduring that onslaught of attacks, the Monkey King fell to the ground, causing a small tremor. He lay on the ground while the mysterious lady remained focused without any sign of distraction. As the Monkey King got up, he looked straight at her, and she also stared back, remaining vigilant. Even Houseen was astonished and terrified, saying, "This woman is strong. She managed to injure Wukong like this within 2 rounds. Witnessing this scene, he couldn't stop sweating. Trying to calm himself down by touching his forehead and reassuring himself, stay calm, stay calm. It's not the right time to use the peak experience card." After calming down, Houseen rushed back to Wukong and asked, "Wukong, are you okay? Are you alright?" His eyes were determined, filled with a strong fighting spirit. Wukong, not underestimating his opponent, replied, "This woman is incredibly strong. In the past, it would have been difficult to defeat her. But today, I have been taught the inner state by my master. The disciple is sure to win." Upon hearing this, Houseen froze for 5 seconds, unable to believe what he had just heard. His eyes widened, and he stuttered, "What? What do you mean? Are you saying you've understood the power of inner state cultivated energy?" Wukong looked confidently at him and replied, "Yes, master." Hearing this, Houseen turned into stone, refusing to believe it. How could that be possible? This is absolutely absurd. Seeing that his master didn't believe him, Wukong clarified firmly, I'm telling the truth, master. While I may not have the same abilities as you, I can definitely display them without any problems. If you don't believe me, you can observe carefully. Then, he tensed his entire body and shouted. The Great Way is not flawless. Understanding chaos means accepting disorder. At this moment, a tremendously powerful aura emanated from him, even causing the mysterious lady to be astonished. She widened her eyes, looking in fear at the inexplicable aura surrounding Wukong, and asked herself in panic, what's happening? What is this strange aura? At that moment, Wukong clasped his hands together to integrate the chaos. The two streams of red and black energy merged with such force that the entire ground trembled and cracked. After a while, Wukong successfully merged the two forces to create a small sphere. Houseen, witnessing this scene, gasped and exclaimed loudly, my goodness, it's the power of the cultivated energy Great Way. This young man has learned it just by glimpsing at it. This enlightenment is too disobedient to heaven. Will there be any room left for others to live? The mysterious lady, seeing this, also broke out in a cold sweat before this overwhelming power. Deep within, she was oscillating, thinking, this isn't good. This feeling is absolutely not good at all. The small glowing sphere made the mysterious lady feel a sensation she had never experienced before, an oppressive and terrifying feeling. She quickly regained her composure and thought, I must respond with all my strength immediately, or else I will surely die. Activating her space summoning ring, she summoned 8 flying swords to surround her. Afterward, the mysterious lady immediately prepared to launch the demonic technique sword technique. The two extremely powerful energies clashed violently. Houseen was surprised to see her display this demeanor and remarked, this oppressive power seems quite ordinary, but it's no less than the power of the inner state cultivated energy. Wukong noticed the issue and shouted loudly, no, that's not her own oppression. It's the oppression of those new swords. Each sword is a genuine divine weapon in legend. Wukong cursed angrily, damn it, I thought I had understood her strength already. He looked at the countless divine weapons in her possession, while he had been searching for a single divine weapon for years. However, he didn't feel ashamed because his current support was his master. Wukong was now extremely eager for battle, gritting his teeth and saying, her strength is still unworthy before the might my master taught me. Wukong shouted loudly, come at me. Suddenly, Wukong became motionless and felt something very unusual. The power of the cultivated energy Great Way was in chaos, and his whole body felt like it was about to explode. With his eyes wide open, he said, this is dangerous. I can't control it anymore. Afterward, there was a terrifyingly large explosion that shook the entire area. Wukong fell down, cursing, damn it, just a little more. Seeing this, Houseen rushed over to ask Wukong, what's wrong? Are you okay? Even though he had no strength left, Wukong tried to reassure, Master, I'm fine. It's just that my body temporarily can't move. The power of the inner state is too strong, and I couldn't control it, so it backfired. Houseen breathed a sigh of relief and said, it's okay. With a few more practices, you'll surely master it. As long as you're okay. At this moment, the mysterious lady suddenly spoke, saying, I never expected that the subordinates of the great demon lord would have such power. Startled by her words, Houseen jumped in fright, his heart pounding. The mysterious lady looked at him with an icy gaze and said, I have underestimated the enemy. Seeing this scene, Houseen was so scared that he almost wet his pants. He raised his hand and said, wait a moment, lady, you've misunderstood. We are not the subordinates of any demon lord as you said. Please calm down, can you? Hearing this, Wukong lying on the ground immediately shouted loudly, Master, don't waste your words on her anymore. Just go ahead and give her a beating. Upon hearing these words, Houseen immediately kicked him in the face. Hit your own head, you rotten monkey. Every day, all you know is fighting and killing. Use your brain for once, he cursed out of frustration, though in reality, Houseen was trembling with fear. He was choosing his words carefully, as the little girl holding the sword on the tree nearby seemed ready to strike at any moment, because his peak card had a cooldown time, requiring another 10 minutes to reactivate after use. Wukong's current strategy had temporarily lost its effectiveness. He had to win over this mysterious lady first and then take action when the opportunity arose. Houseen looked up at the fierce and bloodthirsty woman and said, "Lady, we are also righteous people just like you. We came to the kingdom of women to save people. Surely you had the same intention, right?" The woman didn't hesitate to respond, "Of course." But then she changed her expression and looked at him, saying, "You say you're not allies with them, but where's the evidence?" Hearing this question, Houseen's face darkened. He didn't have any evidence to give her. Houseen continued, "I trust that a beautiful and majestic lady like yourself wouldn't commit such ridiculous suspicions against us, would you? Your grand demeanor shines like a star in the sky. I sensed that the moment I laid eyes on you. A person of your stature must surely have compassion for the world and wouldn't harm innocent people, right?" By reaching this crucial point, Houseen had deeply affected her, leaving mysterious lady in a state of confusion. She hesitantly replied, "Of course, it goes without saying. I always prefer to release the wrongdoer rather than kill an innocent person." Then she added, "But without evidence, it's not quite reasonable for me to let you go." Upon hearing this, Houseen stepped forward to intervene, "Lady, don't panic. We have a solution." He stood there gesturing dramatically and confidently said, "Instead of that, why don't we all enter the city together? If there's any suspicion, you can just kill us directly, right?" Facing this unexpected, the lady fell into contemplation for a moment. Sensing her lack of life experience, mysterious lady found herself unwittingly led by Houseen's manipulation. Scratching her head, she thought that perhaps this solution wasn't so bad after all. With this thought in mind, she no longer cared much and simply turned around to leave, saying, "All right then, let's proceed. We shouldn't delay any longer. Follow me." After Houseen's successful maneuver, he managed to survive. Just then, mysterious lady turned back and said, "That's right, I'm used to going back and forth alone. I don't like outsiders approaching me, so please stay more than 2 zhang away from me." As she finished speaking, Houseen approached her again and patted her on the shoulder, saying, "Don't be so cold. We're all on the same path. If we're comrades, we should stick together, right?" Seeing his hand touching her, mysterious lady's expression darkened. She swiftly swung her sword to create distance. Luckily Houseen evaded in time. His hand retreated quickly, and he sweated profusely, terrified by the sight of the menacing sword. If a mortal like him were hit, it would undoubtedly be a disaster. So Houseen made a wise decision. He followed the advice to turn back while there was still time. He walked straight ahead without daring to turn back, saying, all right, we're more than 2 zhang away now." It was fortunate that he made the right choice, because with that sword and those deadly eyes, one misstep and he would have been done for. At this point, the two were heading towards the kingdom of women, but they had to stay 2 zhang apart as of this moment. Wukong observed for a while and immediately recognized this arrogant demeanor along with the abundance of divine weapons. She must be the legendary demon sword maiden. Houseen, hearing this, was puzzled. Demon sword? Seeing that he knew nothing, Wukong was quite surprised and said, "Demon sword Lin Hang, master. Haven't you heard of it before?" Seeing Wukong's excitement, Houseen also asked in confusion, "Who is that? Is it worth your seriousness?" Wukong recounted, "Demon sword Lin Hang is one of the top figures in the contemporary martial arts ranking, and also the only known member of the mysterious Sakya organization." He then asked, "The heavenly place, martial arts ranking, and Sakya, what are they?" Wukong replied, "I'm not entirely sure about this either. Probably the most formidable figure in the heavenly place." Houseen pondered, "That can't be right. Someone of that rank must have encountered inner state cultivated energy before, but she seemed unfamiliar just now. Wukong shook his head in uncertainty. Then he called out loudly, "Lady, it's not wise to keep your distance like this." In his heart, he knew he needed some intelligence first. He continued, "Later, we won't be fighting side by side anymore. We'll have to negotiate strategies. How can we talk if we're so far apart?" The mysterious lady turned back coldly, saying, "I don't need anyone by my side." Houseen was surprised by this response. "What do you mean? Isn't it better to fight together?" Wukong added, "A little more rest and I'll be ready to fight again." But she remained adamant. "I don't need it. I can handle it on my own." Upon hearing these words, Wukong and Houseen were both taken aback. Wukong, enraged, shouted insults, "You crazy brat, acting so recklessly at such a young age. What makes you think you can handle everything on your own? Do you believe my master won't give you a good beating?" Seeing his disciple's fiery temper, Houseen hurriedly covered his mouth, realizing that if she turned hostile, they would be in deep trouble. Looking at the mysterious lady's retreating figure, she added, "I don't even expect to win. If I lose and die, it'll be your turn to take action. But even then, I won't need your help." These words left Houseen with a sense of melancholy as he watched her lonely figure walking into the sunset with a hint of sadness. For some reason, Houseen felt a sense of emptiness and remained silent for a while. Eventually, he saw the fortress ahead. Facing the group of people, he noticed a large gate emitting a chilling aura. Houseen thought to himself, "I wonder what lies beyond this gate." At that moment, the mysterious lady turned back and reiterated, "I remind you once again that I don't need anyone interfering with my affairs." Seeing her fierce demeanor, Houseen chuckled and quickly assured her, "Understood, understood. I promise not to interfere. I much prefer enjoying the show safely from the sidelines." With that said, the mysterious lady pushed open the door and walked in, her gaze darkening as if witnessing something she detested. Ahead of the group was a centipede with many red eyes, sucking life force from everywhere. It grinned upon seeing the newcomers, taunting, "More fools have come here again." Seeing this, Houseen broke into a cold sweat, realizing, "Oh no, the demon lord level, Wukong can't guarantee his safety now. I need to come up with a plan for mysterious lady to both fight and protect herself." Wukong, infuriated by the sight of the demonic centipede, expressed his anger, "Can't we just kick these bugs out of the demon tribe? They're disgusting." Immediately after, the mysterious lady rushed towards the centipede to engage in combat. Seeing this, Houseen panicked and tried to stop her. "Wait, senior sister, don't rush in like that. I haven't figured out a plan yet. If the demon lord attacked their rear, what would happen?" The demonic centipede was not weak either and retaliated with its own attack, preparing to unleash a powerful onslaught. A barrage of demonic energy bullets rained down, but the mysterious lady didn't flinch. She enveloped her body with her own spirit energy and charged straight ahead. The continuous explosions caused by the barrage of demonic energy had left deep holes in the city walls from its previous assault. The centipede, fierce and malicious, taunted, "You ugly humans, you're just one of many who are about to die by my hands." But before it could finish, it was met with the intense gaze of the mysterious lady. A streak of violet light shot out from her, piercing through the centipede at lightning speed. What followed were swift, agile maneuvers, each strike piercing through the centipede's body, rendering it into pieces. The mysterious lady had vanquished the demonic centipede and landed gracefully on the ground. Watching from afar, Houseen was astounded by the sight. He exclaimed, "Just one strike and the demon lord is gone." Suddenly, applause echoed from above, accompanied by a voice saying, "Well done, well done. Pity it had to end." The words immediately caught the attention of Houseen's group. A figure emanating a fiery red aura spoke, "My dearest and most cherished little pet has been slain by just one of your strikes. Truly befitting of the bloodline of the demon sword, with such a menacing demeanor, he must be the ultimate boss here." The mysterious lady was also surprised that he knew about her father. He chuckled sinisterly and said, "Not only are we acquainted, but we are also sworn enemies." Unable to defeat the old man, the little one takes out his sword to strike. "Doesn't that make me quite pitiful, haha." Then he let out a loud roar and displayed his prowess in the field of cultivated energy. Witnessing this scene, the mysterious lady, Wukong, and even Houseen were shaken. Houseen observed solemnly, recognizing it as inner state cultivated energy. He couldn't believe that this guy possessed such inner state. The story ends here. See you in the next episode. Hello everyone, today I will review the latest episode of this series for you guys. After breaking free into the realm of inner state, this demon king is very pleased with himself. He doesn't hesitate to boast to mysterious lady, "Let me tell you, in this realm, I am an unrivaled existence. Just a flick of my finger is enough to take your life." Then he unleashes streams of dark red energy with malicious intent. Because his attack came so suddenly, mysterious lady hasn't had a chance to calm down after seeing his realm like Wukong's. She is now entangled in these energy streams and finds it difficult to break free. He continues to taunt arrogantly, "A mortal, and now a wounded demon king. You dare to bring a chaotic group like this to attack me. In this situation, no one can save you," he says mockingly, laughing loudly with a mocking expression in tone. As soon as he finished speaking, mysterious lady retorted, "I don't need anyone else to save me. I, alone, have fought across the land without ever seeking anyone's help." As she spoke, she also didn't forget to perform several hand seals. The pink-colored spiritual energy on her hands formed into a vortex, but if you look closely, there are spots of light in the crimson sky, resembling bright stars in the sky. But no, my friends, it's daytime, so where did the moon and stars come from? Those lights are the divine swords summoned by mysterious lady. Each sword is imbued with extreme sharpness, constantly pressuring the opponent. Not stopping there, she cleverly arranges them into a mysterious heavenly sword battle. Swords surrounding this place in a circle, sometimes visible and sometimes hidden, interconnected. Then mysterious lady's eyes gleamed brightly, releasing a powerful aura that broke the restraint. Seeing this, the demon king exclaimed in horror, "How is this possible? You are in my realm." He was so shaken that he couldn't close his mouth. Mysterious lady looked coldly at him and said, "There is no absolute supremacy in this world. You are delusional. It's just greater strength. If I were stronger than you, I could twist you with a flick. Your claim of absolute supremacy is laughable. However, all of my sword formations created by divine weapons are enough to fight you. Compared to that monkey, your strength is full of weaknesses and deficiencies. There's nothing to be proud of and boast about." Wukong, upon hearing himself mentioned and praised, couldn't help but feel quite pleased even if he was being scolded. Wukong's unmistakable smug expression was evident, as he smirked and said, "Of course, how can anyone compare to my master?" As soon as he finished speaking, Houseen panicked and angrily covered his mouth. "Oh my, you shut your mouth for me. If he hears you and comes to attack us, we're all dead, you little troublemaker." Hearing such disdainful words filled with contempt, the Wukong became infuriated, his anger rising like Son Goku. Emanating an overwhelming aura, at the same time, the Demon King unleashed his ultimate technique, the ancient demon art of endless heads, creating numerous ferocious dragon heads hovering menacingly in the air, seemingly awaiting the Demon King's command before attacking Mysterious Lady. On the other side, seeing the continuous creation of dragon heads, Mysterious Lady remarked, "What's the use of quantity if there's no quality?" As soon as she finished speaking, she stood up straight, holding her sword upright, pointing straight up into the sky, initiating the elegant feathers dance sword technique. Then, both sides unleashed their ultimate techniques towards each other, one side with cherry blossom petals filling the sky, the other with dragon heads wriggling in horror. The collision of the two attacks created an extremely powerful clash, with continuous explosions occurring and dust and debris filling the air. Although Houseen stood at a distance, he was still affected by the battle, having to adopt a defensive stance as if blocking incoming shockwaves. However, it was just a pretense to block the dust from getting into his eyes. Just to spectate. He silently exclaimed, both sides are very strong, but he also didn't forget to ask, is Wukong recovered yet? This was the crucial point because the lifeline charm depended on it. Wukong also replied alertly, not yet, master. Hearing this, Houseen became extremely worried, silently cursing, damn it, if the kid hasn't recovered, who will protect me? For safety's sake, I probably have to activate the trump card. After activating the system, it also announced, your Ninja card has been activated. Within the next 5 minutes, your peak strategic hack will be activated. Seeing that this time there were only 5 minutes, Houseen was extremely pleased, rejoicing because the time had been cut in half. He silently wondered, could it be that every time a mission is completed, the system will evolve and shorten the time? Meanwhile, in the intense battle between the two, the dragon heads in the sky were still present and preparing to attack. Mysterious Lady took advantage of the opportunity to counterattack, saying, so many vulnerabilities, huh? Then she unleashed her technique, slashing like cutting bananas. Seeing Mysterious Lady busy fighting off the dragon heads, the Demon Lord seized the opportunity to gather new energy for a new ultimate move, boasting that he would give her a new grand gift. He was creating a larger dragon head, equivalent to a house, but Mysterious Lady quickly dealt with the smaller dragon heads and approached the Demon Lord. Though just a young woman, her momentum was no less than that of a warrior. Mysterious Lady stood still, gathering her spirit energy onto her divine sword. With her classic line, quantity has no effect on me. Now that there's only one left, I cannot afford to lose. Her icy gaze, combined with the sword weapon like mist, made others shiver even without the cold. Mysterious Lady shouted, divine weapon Tian Mu King. A colossal divine sword materialized from above, descending like a ban on the Demon Lord's dragon head. Compared to the Demon Lord's dragon head, this divine sword was immense. The Demon Lord was extremely surprised to see this scene, staring intently at Mysterious Lady's grand technique. Filled with fear, watching from afar, the two disciples marveled, exclaiming, wow, it's truly no less than the golden cudgel. Wukong remarked that it was indeed impressive, as it was also a divine weapon. Mysterious Lady struck down with a demon sword named Huang Lu, causing the giant sword to fall due to her intent. A massive explosion ensued. Sending rocks flying like in a movie, the Demon Lord, engulfed in the battle, grew increasingly terrified. Despite attempting to block Mysterious Lady's onslaught, his body began to bear numerous wounds. However, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't withstand this powerful technique. Eventually, he then lay down in a large hole created by the aftershock. The Demon Lord, resilient like a cockroach, crawled up and shouted defiantly, damn it, it's not over yet, don't get too cocky. At this moment, Mysterious Lady pointed her sword at the Demon Lord with a cold, menacing gaze and said, look into my eyes. Then, a purple star-shaped pattern emerged from within Mysterious Lady's eyes. Suddenly, the Demon Lord fell into an abnormal state upon gazing into them. In an instant, he was ensnared in an illusion within Mysterious Lady's eyes, bound and shackled by thousands of swords raining down from all directions. Iron chains restrained him like a dangerous convict. On this side, Mysterious Lady carried a blazing red gaze along with the sword perched atop the dragon head. At this moment, she resembled nothing short of a true demon sword, thirsting for bloodshed. After a while, Mysterious Lady began to speak, if we're talking about absolute dominance, then my sorcery may be more accurate with this title. A second here is equivalent to a day outside, and the mental pressure you endure is 100-fold. In the Demon Lord's eyes, there was also a star-shaped pattern, as he had fallen under Mysterious Lady's sorcery. 10 seconds later, he lay motionless on the ground, devoid of any movement. His demeanor now appeared weary, undoubtedly due to enduring the mental torment inflicted by the formidable sorcery displayed by Mysterious Lady. After a while, Mysterious Lady dispelled the sorcery, causing everything to gradually dissipate. Witnessing this scene, Houseen was utterly bewildered, unable to comprehend what was unfolding before his eyes. He was struck with shock, feeling as though the enemy had just lost their will to fight. Wukong, though also puzzled, had a bit more insight than our protagonist. It seemed to recognize this as the rumored bloodline technique. Thinking about it, Wukong was horrified, recalling a terrifying incident. It was said that only the highest echelons of the clan possessed such twisted abilities. Indeed, there was no mistaking it, those eyes of hers were the epitome of demonic ferocity. She approached the defeated Demon King and declared, "You have lost. Your current state is no longer a match for me." Hearing this, he looked up and replied, as expected of the daughter of the demon sword. "I had already foreseen that I would not be your match." As soon as he finished speaking, he laughed maniacally with excitement. "But have you ever wondered why I repeatedly choose to intervene with you in the kingdom of women?" The words sent a chill down Mysterious Lady's spine. The Demon King didn't give her a chance to respond. He raised his hand to the sky and shouted loudly, "My scheme is to lure you into the kingdom of women, because within the walls, there will be a divine battle formation. You truly are foolish to the extreme, haha." While he laughed, he also activated the divine battle formation of the kingdom of women. A swirling vortex of crimson spirit energy enveloped Mysterious Lady forcefully, and beneath her feet, a large divine battle formation emerged clearly on the ground. Simultaneously, a divine battle formation for national defense was also activated, covering the entire kingdom of women with its imposing aura, no different from the scene of her previous life's demise. The activation of the divine battle formation coincided with Mysterious Lady bearing the weighty pressure upon her body. She crumpled to the ground, overwhelmed and terrified. With each passing second, Mysterious Lady was increasingly crushed by the pressure, unable to resist any longer. Sensing the tide's turn, the Demon King smirked triumphantly. "You never thought about it, did you? The kingdom of women has been a lure from the beginning, and every action they've taken was to trap you in this grand battle. Having to resort to the strength of an entire nation to suppress you means even the successor of the demon sword can do nothing but kneel and endure, but it wasn't going to be that easy. The woman destined to become the martial deity of her people, the Mysterious Lady, couldn't accept such weakness. With a fierce will and overwhelming rage, she erupted with a terrifying aura that shattered the shackles and the oppressive pressure of the grand battle. Though sweat poured down her face, her eyes blazed with determination and fury as she retorted, "You've underestimated me." With those words, the Mysterious Lady unleashed her ultimate technique, the Heavenly Defender Sword King, a divine general adorned with dazzling golden arms, each wielding a formidable sword. From afar, Houseen witnessed this breathtaking spectacle, overwhelmed with fear and awe. Both master and disciple were amazed by Mysterious Lady's grand technique. Such a formidable mastery was beyond even Wukong's experience. However, the Demon King remained unshaken in the face of Mysterious Lady's divine general, maintaining his arrogant demeanor as always. Mysterious Lady looked at him and said, "Are you so calm? Do you really have enough confidence to confront my divine general?" Despite her mocking tone, the Demon King calmly replied, "You jest, my dear. When the master of the demon sword reveals their trump card, how could I possibly contend with it?" She questioned further, "Then why are you so composed?" To give her a satisfactory answer, he raised his arm, revealing ancient characters inscribed upon it. With these symbols glowing, the Demon King explained, "Why, of course, it's because I've prepared meticulously. In truth, I've been waiting for you to unleash this trump card for quite some time. Because the sooner you do, the quicker your defeat will come." Surprised by his words, Mysterious Lady asked, "What do you mean?" Immediately, the Demon King displayed mysterious characters swirling around him, each circle containing different cryptic symbols, ominous and foreboding. Upon witnessing his deceptive tactics, Mysterious Lady seemed to realize something, her expression turning pale with horror as she muttered, "Could it be?" Before she could finish her thought or say anything more, she noticed her own inscriptions glowing. Immediately after, she felt white bones piercing through her chest, surrounded by the swirling characters of the Demon King. Houseen and Wukong, witnessing this scene, gasped in shock, their mouths agape. They were stunned to realize that this figure was likely the mastermind behind the intricate scheme. The Demon King, with a smug grin, could barely contain his excitement. Hee, success. Yes, indeed, success, he exclaimed triumphantly. Then, unable to contain his twisted joy any longer, he burst into maniacal laughter. You didn't expect this, did you? I found the weakness of your trump card, your own essence, he continued, reveling in his revelation. Once the Divine General is formed, if its essence suffers any damage, it will collapse in defeat. With such a powerful Divine General protecting you, you may have thought you were invincible. But what if the attack comes from within? At this moment, Mysterious Lady's Divine General began to dissipate as her essence suffered a devastating blow. Sensing the dire situation, Houseen pondered for a moment and came to a conclusion. The reason lies with the two wretches captured earlier by Mysterious Lady. She stored them within her ring as prisoners, he deduced. With the Divine General collapsing and the suppression of the Grand Battle formation, how will you resist? He taunted, clenching his fist preparing to strike. He mercilessly pummeled Mysterious Lady's body, relentless in his assault. Do you feel how powerless you are standing before me? You're so weak now, unable to fight back, he jeered. You enjoy using your special divine weapon to punish evildoers, but what about my intelligence? How's that for the intelligence of Sword King Xeris? Even daring to claim to be the successor of the demon sword. It's laughable, he mocked. After enduring 18 punches from him, she was thrown off balance, unable to resist. Not stopping there, he seized Mysterious Lady's head, pressing it down towards the ground, taunting, you were so cocky just now, why can't you resist anymore? With those words, he exerted even more force with his dark powers, causing the ground to sink and crack around them. The relentless barrage of blows from this brutal Demon King upon Mysterious Lady inflicted countless wounds and bruises upon her body, yet she did not plead for mercy at all. She lay motionless on the ground, powerless, while the Demon King advanced and said to her, "Are you in pain? Do you regret it? Our clan members felt the same when they met your father that year." He tilted his head mockingly and taunted, not calling for help. "Do you want to die?" With that question, Mysterious Lady did not respond to him. Her eyes no longer held the determination they had earlier, now they were blank and resigned, refusing to endure further humiliation. Mysterious Lady spoke up, "I admit defeat. Finish me off, don't hesitate anymore." This episode concludes here, and I'll also hint to you that in episode 12, Neja makes an appearance in Houseen's cross-dressing guise. As for episode 13, a new experience card will appear. Can you guess who it might be? The Demon King laughed loudly, baring his sharp iron teeth and boasting, "Do you want me to kill you? There's no such thing, little one, it's not so easy. If I were to do that, wouldn't it be giving you too much of an advantage?" After saying this, he tightened his grip around Mysterious Lady's neck, his face twisted with malice. Mysterious Lady's face now appeared lifeless, her eyes devoid of resistance. Seeing this, the Demon King continued his taunts, "I must slowly torment you, just as your father did to our clan members back then. No, I'll be even more ruthless than he was to exact the revenge that has been brewing within me for so long." He continued to threaten in various ways. But Mysterious Lady remained indifferent. This indifference only further enraged him. He erupted in fury, shouting, "Don't act so indifferent as if you don't care about anything. You're afraid for me, admit it, admit that you're afraid." After ranting like a madman, he gathered his dark magic in his hands once again, intending to continue tormenting Mysterious Lady with his newfound idea. He said, "Or perhaps I'll start by disabling these two white legs of yours before I feast on you." As soon as he finished speaking, he struck down without any hesitation. His blow was extremely powerful, and the path the magical sphere took created a deep trench extending quite far. After the dust settled, he seemed puzzled. "Huh? What's this? Did I miss my target?" But shortly after, he realized it was impossible for him to miss at that distance. Furthermore, mysterious lady was no longer lying there. This thought led him to understand. Someone had rescued her. The Demon King became extremely angry and shouted, "Who dares to come out and face me?" Looking up, he was stunned by the scene. Another figure was carrying mysterious lady in their arms, surrounded by a swirling sea of fire. The overwhelming aura made the Demon King stagger. With two ponytails tied up and wielding this power, it could be none other than Houseen. He had successfully activated the peak-level experience card, or rather, Neja successfully transformed. Riding on the blazing wind fire wheels, Houseen looked at mysterious lady reproachfully. "You really are stubborn, aren't you? Even in the end, you refuse to seek help from others. You could have perished if I hadn't arrived in time. Instead, you stand there with a cold demeanor, oblivious to the value of your own life. If I hadn't made it in time, you would have died several times over." But instead of thanking or being moved, mysterious lady appeared shocked. Her eyes widened, her pupils constricted, and her face swelled like a pig's. This aura, did you just transform into Neja?" Mysterious lady was startled by Houseen's appearance. Neither fully male nor female. It looked incredibly strange. But what was particularly alarming was that she was being carried by another man, which made her even more frightened. Seeing her squirming like a fish out of water, he exclaimed loudly, "Can't you stop moving around aimlessly? I'm not very used to standing on this ring, you know. One wrong step and I could break my neck right now." At the same time, the Demon King also looked up to the sky and laughed heartily. "Haha, you indeed are not an ordinary mortal, little one. From the beginning, I suspected that no mortal would dare to witness this scene without a hint of fear. Finally, your true form is revealed," he exclaimed, pretending to be amused. However, deep down, the Demon King had different thoughts. "It's strange. Why didn't I sense any aura from him before?" he pondered. As soon as the thought crossed his mind, the Demon King hastily gathered his immense magical power and lunged at Houseen with the intent to deliver a fatal blow. Because he believed that this mysterious individual might be at a level beyond his comprehension. And his own body was weakened, he had to use all the remaining strength of his inner state to swiftly defeat him, even if it meant sacrificing himself. Swinging a powerful blow towards Houseen and mysterious lady, the Demon King thought that they would surely perish if hit by such an attack. However, the Demon King's attack came from behind Houseen, yet he remained unmoved like a mountain. Only mysterious lady turned her head, witnessing the ominous source of magic with a grave expression. Then mysterious lady shouted at Houseen, "This is the power of inner state. Ignore me and run away quickly before it's too late." Her words were both a response to his concern and an urging for him to flee. However, Houseen turned back with a gaze that seemed to say, "All beings are equal, all things are tranquil." He coldly told the Demon King, "You want to compare inner states? Fine, let me show you what true inner state is." As soon as he finished speaking, a pillar of light descended from the sky straight onto the kingdom of women. The terrifying tremor and dazzling brilliance of this event could be seen from thousands of miles away. Mysterious lady was once again horrified. Unable to believe what she was seeing, while Wukong remained unsurprised, having unwavering faith in his master's strength. He knew that his master was powerful, unlike his seemingly weak appearance without cultivation like an ordinary mortal. In the distant forest, even the small demon beasts felt the terror of this overwhelming force. Two young demon beasts, inexperienced in the ways of the world, trembled in fear, their bodies quivering uncontrollably. Back to the scene where Houseen stood, he had summoned his divine general. A divine general with 3 heads and 6 wings appeared as if materialized from nothingness. This was the true manifestation of inner state. Houseen's body was now shining brightly like an immortal human, and he looked down at mysterious lady with a cold demeanor. However, the one most horrified at this moment was the Demon King. He was so terrified that he almost fainted, unable to believe the truth before his eyes. Trembling with fear, he stammered, "You, how could you?" He couldn't say anything more as fear gripped him so strongly that his tongue seemed to stick to his palate. The longer he looked, the more terrified he became, feeling like crying in sheer terror. The Demon King, known for his extreme cruelty and ruthlessness, was now reduced to a trembling mess on the ground, unable to stand. Seeing him in such a state, Houseen displayed a surge of killing intent and said mockingly, "What's wrong with you? Can't speak now? Speak up a bit, I'm all ears." The Demon King had been silent for a while, unable to utter a word, just staring and staring, his eyes wide with shock. In its previous life, the Demon King was a giant sea serpent that preyed on creatures in the vast ocean. In an unnamed fish pond, it swam in search of food. Its massive body, sharp teeth, thick steel-like scales, and sharp spikes all over its back made it appear ferocious. Other small fish in the pond either fled upon seeing it or became its meal. Those unlucky enough to be caught by the Demon King met a swift demise. Even rulers from other domains couldn't escape its lethal jaws. In its presence, death was inevitable. The battle between the sea creatures began, and the overwhelming victory belonged to the ocean serpent with its devastating strike. Gradually, it became an existence that other small fish dared not challenge, instilling fear in all who encountered it. Over time, the food chain reinforced its belief that it was the strongest being in the world. Then, one day, a powerful storm struck, sweeping away the entire pond into the clouds. For the first time in its life, the sea serpent beheld the vastness of the earth and sky. The boundless expanse seemed infinite, and it felt like a tiny speck in this vast universe. Even other true demon kings and rulers were astonished like it was. At that time, it harbored doubts for a long time, only truly awakening to the scene when it was rudely awakened. But now, even though a long time had passed since then, it still made the Demon King recall the desperation and insignificance of its previous life, and the humiliation it had considered its own righteousness. Now, the Demon King was kneeling on the ground, trembling, and dared not move. He pleaded, "Great Lord, I surrender. I beg for your mercy. In this life, I am willing to serve you obediently, no matter what you command." He spoke each word humbly, without a hint of arrogance, sweating profusely with fear. Hearing this, Houseen was furious. He thought to himself, "What nonsense surrender is this? Are all my experience cards wasted like this? You haven't even fought yet, and you're already surrendering?" Enraged, he grabbed the Demon King's collar and shouted, "Stop spouting nonsense, little girl. Get up and fight me now." The Demon King, upon hearing this, was terrified. He stammered, "I dare not. I am just a tiny ant in front of the great lord. How could I dare to strike?" But Houseen kept pressing the Demon King, asking, "Are you going to fight me now?" He then pressed his hand against the Demon King's head, causing him to wince in pain. However, the Demon King had no courage left to fight, knowing the overwhelming difference in strength. It was like hitting a stone with an egg. Witnessing this scene, Mysterious Lady was also stunned. It was unclear what she was thinking or if she was still in shock from Houseen's power. But perhaps she saw the unbelievable strength of Naja's peak form that Houseen was experiencing. She remained stunned for a long time, gazing at his power. Meanwhile, Houseen acted like an immature youngster constantly taunting the Demon King to fight. However, Mysterious Lady could only feel that level of power in one person. That person was her father. Since she was young and gained awareness of this world, Mysterious Lady had followed her father to harsh places for cultivation. Such towering figures left a lasting impression on her, but they always remained distant, never allowing her to get too close, even in daily life. Father told her that solitude is the most important trait of the strong. Even in the face of pain and discomfort to the point of incomprehensibility, weakness is not allowed. Yet she always believed in her father. One day, they walked through a snowy forest together. Just like any other day, the little girl followed her father in their cultivation journey, maintaining that distance. Suddenly, she heard a noise in the nearby bushes and decided to investigate. In the bushes, a small and adorable fox appeared, looking at her. Curiosity towards cute things is natural for any child, and the little fox seemed to like her too. It happily bounded towards Mysterious Lady, gently touching her with its tiny nose. It was the first time Mysterious Lady had such intimate contact with another life, a nameless emotion flooding her heart, but in the next second, another large foot suddenly descended, ruthlessly crushing the small fox. This scene unfolded before Mysterious Lady's eyes, leaving her stunned. Her father also asked, "What are you doing? Do you want to adopt it like those inferior humans? Answer me." Under her father's interrogation, Mysterious Lady could only hold back her tears and apologize. He turned away, saying, "Remember that solitude and aloofness are the best paths to greatness." However, her father turned back with a cold gaze and said, "No, it should be uniqueness that is truly right." Mysterious Lady couldn't adapt to the situation, feeling a strange sensation that came and went, leaving her desolate. Since that day, young Mysterious Lady dared not approach or interact with any other living beings. Day after day, year after year, on the vast plain, the small figure remained lonely. Her father's words were truly never wrong. She indeed quickly grew stronger, from being adorable to gradually developing a blank expression, then transforming into a sharp, cold gaze like her father's, as if she had lost something in her subconscious, which she now saw. Looking at the extraordinary man before her, while she pondered over the past and present. So on this side, Houseen continued to provoke the Demon King to fight. He went from taunting to cursing, nodding his head, even squeezing his neck, yet the Demon King didn't resist. It wasn't that the Demon King suddenly turned docile or became a vegetarian, it was simply because he lacked the courage to fight at this moment. But in Mysterious Lady's eyes, Houseen clearly exhibited the condescending attitude her father had spoken of, yet possessed strength no less than her father's. For the first time in her life, Mysterious Lady began to doubt her great father, so she made a momentous decision right then and there. She advanced towards where Houseen was confronting the Demon King. Houseen, in a fit of rage, was gripping the Demon King's throat, frothing at the mouth. "How dare you waste my card? I'll teach you a lesson, you damned fool." Mysterious Lady stood behind, unsure of what to say, stammering, Hearing her voice, Houseen turned to see what was happening. Mysterious Lady, feeling embarrassed, said, "Can you accept me as your disciple?" Hearing this, Houseen was dumbfounded. "What?" he asked incredulously. He hadn't done anything to her, so why would she suddenly want to become his disciple? Suddenly, the system announced, there has been a significant change in Mysterious Lady's worldview. Her potential value has increased by 35%. Congratulations, host, on completing the mission. Your reward is one Peak King of Hell experience card. Houseen cheered wildly as he held up the card. Another emergency lifeline charm. But then he remembered that he hadn't done much since opening the Naja card. The Demon King had surrendered out of the blue, followed by Mysterious Lady wanting to become his disciple, and then the mission was suddenly completed. "Wait, what's going on, system?" Houseen demanded. "Explain this to me. You're making me feel a bit foolish here," and with that, the story comes to an end. See you in the next episodes, folks. Don't forget to subscribe and like to support me. Hello everyone, welcome to episodes 15 and 16 of this comedy series. In the capital city's Earth Mansion, where dark energy accumulated to create an eerie atmosphere, in the lower hall of the palace, the young master of the Earth Mansion held a gemstone in his hand and presented it to his subordinate. He unleashed a powerful surge of spiritual energy with his magical technique, causing the subordinate to break out in a sweat. He then used his cold gaze to focus the energy onto the gemstone in his hand, illuminating a corner with a beam of light, but upon inspection, the gemstone had developed cracks. The subordinate was astonished and had to squint to confirm what he was seeing. He exclaimed, "Oh my, young master, you've managed to crack the dragon pearl with just your pressure alone. It's truly incredible." This is the hardest natural material in the underworld. With your power, you could easily rank among the top 100 in the martial arts ranking, the young prince replied modestly. How could that be possible? A small fry like me could never compare to the great figures in the heavenly place. But at least I won't be punished anymore, which is quite a relief. As they were chatting, the subordinates suddenly froze, signaling to the young master, who failed to notice someone approaching from behind. The burly man stepped up behind him and interrogated, "What are you laughing at? Finding this amusing?" The young prince lowered his face solemnly and replied, "It's nothing, father." He then ordered his servant to bring the gemstone and sternly said, "This is the thing you dare to boast about?" He crushed the gemstone in front of the young prince and continued in a severe tone, "Is that all you've got?" The young prince's face showed a hint of sadness as he nervously rubbed his sleeve. When he didn't respond, the man grew furious, raising his fist and lunging towards him, saying, "I'm asking you, do you still think you're so great?" The punch struck his face mercilessly, sending him flying and crashing into the wall with a loud crash. The young prince sat heavily on the ground, struggling to get up, the spot where he had been sitting now a gaping hole from the impact. He was then grabbed by the neck and shaken in fear by his father, who spoke coldly, "Let me remind you, someone with your mediocre talent, no matter how hard you try, will only ever reach grade 3, never grade 9. After saying this, he threw him to the ground and walked away. Before leaving, he sneered, 10 days of confinement should sober you up, you useless waste." The young prince lay curled up on the ground and softly responded to his father, "Yes, father." The scene shifted to a temporary military camp in the mountains, where two guards whispered to each other in the forest. "It's really breaking the rules for nothing. Just to take a leak and we have to go 3 miles away from the camp," said the scar-faced bald soldier coldly. The other soldier, with a long-haired scalp, replied, "Let's talk less, dragon flag. Our army dominates the world not just because of strict discipline, right?" Suddenly, both of them startled as they saw a mysterious bottle of wine rolling towards them. Curious, they looked inside and heard sounds. "What's this sound?" whispered the soldier with long hair. Upon closer inspection, they saw countless terrifying faces inside the bottle, causing the soldier with long hair to scream in fear, "Ah, what is this?" The scar-faced bald soldier tried to calm the other, saying, "Nothing to be surprised about," as he examined the bottle and confidently asserted, "It must be the work of some idol cult." Suddenly, a mysterious purple air split the face of the bald soldier in half. The soldier with long hair turned around and was horrified to see numerous giant figures surrounding him. His face turned pale, devoid of any trace of blood, as he shouted, "What kind of creatures are you?" After the soldier's hoarse cry, only a corpse remained with a pool of fresh blood under the night sky. 10 days later, outside the low mountain, 2 figures could be faintly seen. After rescuing the king and people of the kingdom of women, Houseen had to flee all night because the entire city sought to repay his kindness, but Houseen alone couldn't handle it all. He showed unhappiness as life without love made him feel miserable. Houseen expressed his frustration in front of Mysterious Lady, "Damn it, it's not over yet." On the journey, for some unknown reason, the little monkey king not only couldn't recover but also fell into a deep sleep. In other words, during these days of the journey, there were only 2 people, Houseen and Mysterious Lady. Houseen approached Mysterious Lady and jokingly asked, "Mysterious Lady, besides martial arts, do you have any other special talents?" Mysterious Lady calmly replied, "No, I only know martial arts." Houseen tried to make Mysterious Lady show a hint of fear as he said, "So, do you have any happy memories from the past?" She hesitated and replied, "I'm sorry, I only train in martial arts every day." Hearing her response, Houseen awkwardly chuckled and said, "Well then, tell me about something you're interested in, let's chat." Mysterious Lady shyly reiterated that her interest was solely in martial arts. The two walked together in an awkward atmosphere, but soon they arrived at a desolate place. Houseen panicked and shouted, "Wake up, little monkey, don't scare me to death," as he held the little monkey in his arms. Houseen thought to himself, the kid shouldn't have any problems. But why is he just unconscious? His vital signs seem normal. Houseen looked at his hand and silently prayed. What was even stranger was that ever since he used the card twice, a vague source of power had begun to emerge within his body. This power felt familiar, as if it belonged to him. While pondering, he was suddenly pulled out of his thoughts by the system's announcement, "Target area reached." Looking at the desolate landscape before him, Houseen whispered to himself, "Finally, we're here. Why is the King of Hell in the mortal army?" After that, Houseen's group proceeded to this battlefield and immediately noticed that everywhere were corpses. Each of them seemed to have their life force drained, rather than being casualties of combat. Houseen looked down with a grim expression, feeling a sense of dread as he witnessed the scene of bodies scattered all around the camp. These corpses all seemed to have died in a similar manner, which made everything even more unsettling. Houseen was horrified by what he saw and wondered, has there been some kind of war here? Mysterious Lady also walked around, examining the situation. She then noticed the thick aura in the air and remarked, "What is going on here? Even under normal circumstances, people wouldn't die like this." At this moment, the system also informed Houseen that the King of Hell was not currently in the camp. Without hesitation, the two continued on their way. Houseen and Mysterious Lady arrived at a forest and stopped in front of a tomb. There was a stone tablet at the entrance of the tomb with an inscription that read, "The residence of the King of Hell is here." After reading that inscription, Houseen was horrified. He trembled as he spoke each word. Could it be, in this tomb? Houseen was overcome with fear, sitting down on the ground, shivering. The reason for his intense fear stemmed from his childhood experience of watching a terrifying horror movie for 180 minutes, which left a lasting impression of horror and dread. The movie featured scenes of monstrous creatures, giant cockroaches, dancing zombies, and slithering snakes. Just thinking about it made him feel so scared that he lay helpless on the ground, crying uncontrollably, "I don't want to go in there. But if I don't complete the mission, I'll lose my life. Oh, Mother, I want to go back to Earth, where I can eat salad and watch TV all day." Tears streamed down his face, feeling like there was no other option. Seeing Houseen's continuously changing and trembling expression, Mysterious Lady found it strange and approached him, asking, "Master, why are you so frightened?" Suddenly being asked a question felt like a bolt from the blue, and he stood frozen for a few seconds, sweat pouring down his forehead. It was then that Houseen realized he had been too scared and let his disciple see it, causing suspicion. In that decisive moment, Houseen used his boundless intelligence to bluff, "Aha, how could I possibly be scared? I'm just joking. Master is so powerful that it's boring, so I like to act dramatic to liven up the atmosphere and avoid boredom. Just ignore my expressions, haha." Hearing this, Mysterious Lady believed him wholeheartedly. Being inherently honest and not suspecting those around her, she fell for his clever deception. Not only that, but Mysterious Lady also praised, "The Master truly lives up to his reputation. This behavior is truly strange and difficult to understand." Then she said, "Let me lead the way then," and promptly entered the cave inside the tomb. Seeing Mysterious Lady moving away from him, Houseen panicked and ran after her. Hey, slow down. Don't go too far from the Master." Once inside, the darkness was as thick as ink, and there was no sound, making the surroundings incredibly eerie and cold. Houseen was so afraid that he stuck close to Mysterious Lady as they walked. His face turned pale, and he thought to himself, "This underground space is so vast, just like what was written in the lost tomb, isn't it?" Seeing Houseen's pitiful expression, Mysterious Lady secretly admired her master, praising his acting skills. "My master is truly a master. If I hadn't known in advance, I would have really thought my master was clueless." However, it must be said that the atmosphere here was becoming increasingly oppressive, making everyone uncomfortable. Mysterious Lady's face also grew solemn as a result. Suddenly, there was a clang sound in the quiet space, startling Houseen. He turned to look, his heart racing with fear. Meanwhile, Mysterious Lady stood there calmly, observing her master's performance with satisfaction and pride. Houseen continued to ponder the sound he had just heard, not knowing what it was but feeling a chill run down his spine upon hearing it again. He kept his eyes fixed in that direction, his lips tightly pressed together. Then, a frog jumped out from that spot, and he breathed a sigh of relief at the sight. Houseen breathed a sigh of relief, his spirits lifting. Wow, it's just a green frog. It scared me out of my wits. Venturing into these places is really putting our little family's safety on the line, he said nonchalantly. However, behind him, there loomed a dark mass, with giant supernatural creatures roaring ferociously. Unaware of the danger, Houseen continued, the danger seems to have been averted. No need to worry anymore, that's great. Sensing something, Mysterious Lady's face darkened. Feeling a chill down his spine, Houseen turned around, freezing in place. His face dumbfounded, he muttered, "Oh, it's just a rural river." Observing this scene, Mysterious Lady remained vigilant. Thinking to herself, these are all beast-level demons. What kind of supernatural phenomenon is happening here? Creatures from the earth realm can't just appear in the mortal realm. Something must be terribly wrong somewhere. As the ferocious beasts howled, emitting sounds of hunger and thirst from ancient times, Houseen regained some semblance of composure and bolted for his life, clutching Wukong tightly, fear driving him like the wind. But those beasts weren't going to let him go so easily. They hurled purple energy coils that wrapped around Houseen's body, leaving him helpless as he cried out, "Help! I'm going to die." Help! Meanwhile, one of the beasts was opening its mouth wide, ready to devour him. Mysterious Lady, watching from below, remained remarkably calm. Remembering the earlier conversation where her master had assured her it was all just a playful act, she decided to trust him and replied with a sunny smile, "It's okay, master. You're strong, you're probably just playing around with those guys." Seeing her naive smile, Houseen's anger flared, and he shouted, "Hey! Why are you so calm? I'm about to die. Hurry up and save me. Do you want to let that thing swallow, master? Hurry, save me." Despite his desperate pleas and flailing, the creature's mouth was wide enough to swallow a dozen like him. Houseen, feeling utterly helpless, cried his heart out and said to himself, "I'm done for. This time, I'm truly done for. Of all people, I had to encounter such a clueless disciple. My life is over, I've said it before, this world is extremely dangerous. Stepping outside is like playing with death." His lamentations echoed, but there was no response. Wukong lay motionless below, still not awakening. Suddenly, Wukong's eyes emitted a dazzling light. Hello everyone, let's move on to the next episode of this story. While Houseen was in distress, Wukong became active. Just as Houseen was about to be swallowed by the Monster King, another small figure rose up. It was Wukong, now awake after his long sleep, his eyes filled with determination as he looked up at the Monster King preparing to attack. Wukong's hand gathered a bright golden light, and he said, "The way is incomplete, life gives birth to all things." As soon as he finished speaking, Wukong's body emitted a brilliant golden light, displaying immense power that dominated the heavens. The Monster King received Wukong's powerful blow, but being of this kind, it neither feared nor felt pain. So it remained silent. Houseen, witnessing Wukong's fierce counterattack, was gaping in amazement. Not stopping there, Wukong began the second act, his eyes sharp as he said, "Too much of the way." Before he could finish his sentence, the group of Monster Kings lunged towards Wukong. It seemed they had found new prey or felt threatened, so they attacked aggressively, each one resembling a titan, with fierce red eyes, and a menacing demeanor. Wukong remained focused, as if he had grasped the essence of the Tao, with his cute yet dangerously determined expression. At this moment, the Monster King that Wukong had knocked away from behind had also recovered. It stood up and prepared to unleash its rage, charging towards Wukong, its giant foot making Wukong seem tiny in comparison. Seeing this, Houseen shouted for Wukong to be careful. However, when the giant foot came crashing down, not only was Wukong unharmed, but he also caught it effortlessly, his eyes turning a fiery red with a hint of malice. Sensing this, Wukong lowered himself slightly in preparation for a counterattack, the golden threads of light gradually converging towards him. As they reached their peak, Wukong gathered all his energy and released it explosively, with shockwaves emanating from him as the center, creating a fierce and violent aura that shook the heavens. The Monster King's foot was thrown back, and then the threads of light converged back around Wukong, forming golden spheres. After a while, Wukong's new form had taken shape. Behind him now were 8 shining orbs symbolizing the essence of the Tao, or in other words, the realm. With a majestic and imposing demeanor, Wukong looked at the Monster Kings and said, "Therefore, the true meaning of understanding the Tao is that the more one disregards martial arts, the deeper one can delve into the Tao." However, speaking to those ignorant beings was futile, their instincts were that of high-level underworld creatures with malicious tendencies. The first creature lunged forward without understanding, followed by the second, and then the whole group rushed in, screaming wildly. Wukong, surrounded by shining orbs, stood firm in the darkness, his expression darkening with anger. Then came the third act, where Wukong once again gathered spirit energy into his hands, preparing for the final showdown. But this time was different, a powerful light easily overwhelmed the Monster Kings, with shockwaves even stronger than before. Each one was sent flying by a single strike, and the intensity of the light further enraged them. Wukong shone like the midday sun, dazzling and sparkling, too bright for anyone to look at directly. The Monster Kings were reduced to dust, leaving nothing behind. Houseen was also overwhelmed with horror at Wukong's maturity. With a radiant body hovering in mid-air, even celestial beings and Buddhas trembled in fear. Then, Wukong turned back to Houseen and grinned broadly. Wukong raised his thumb and said, "Let's boost those likes on the video, folks, and look forward to a new episode tomorrow." Houseen, still in shock, said, "Why is this kid's aura so strong? He seems completely transformed into someone else." Mysterious lady, witnessing Wukong's display of power, was equally startled. "Damn it, why is he so powerful? Is he going to terrorize us like this? That oppressive aura makes me feel like I'm absolutely no match for him," she thought, glancing over at Houseen, who was perplexed. Mysterious lady concluded, "Not long ago, we were evenly matched, so it must be because he had an expert mentor guiding him, allowing him to progress at an astonishing rate." In Mysterious Lady's eyes, Houseen suddenly appeared handsome and domineering. Because of this, Mysterious Lady unconsciously felt even more admiration for Houseen. She also imagined that Wukong wouldn't stop there just because he had Houseen as a mentor. Surely, his level of skill would continue to surpass expectations. Suddenly, she couldn't understand why her face was flushing red, perhaps from being captivated by Houseen's limited charm. Mysterious Lady covered her face with her hands, wondering, "Why is my face suddenly feeling so hot?" Lost in her thoughts, Wukong descended. Sweating profusely, Houseen exclaimed, "Hey, little monkey, what's going on? Explain it to the master." When questioned, Wukong arrogantly boasted, his face beaming with excitement, "Haha, master, am I not amazing? The deep sleep earlier was because I adjusted the meridians in my body after failing to use the power of the realm last time." After speaking, Wukong created several radiant spheres that flew around. "Look, master, now I can make 8 of these," he exclaimed, full of pride. The word struck Houseen like a bolt of lightning, leaving him stunned and gulping down the bone pill in shock. He muttered, 8 times. This kid's talent is terrifying. It stirred intense turmoil within him, leading to self-doubt and resentment. Houseen's dark aura directed towards Wukong made the latter recoil in confusion. But why was Houseen reacting this way? It was because his peak card could only use more than 10 orbs like that. Continuing like this, I might end up losing my position as the master. I need to find a way to quickly become stronger, he thought. However, in Wukong's perspective, Houseen's resentful expression turned into one of anger and disdain, as if mocking Wukong's achievements. Wukong interpreted it as Houseen sarcastically saying, "Oh, just 8 times. Your talent is truly remarkable." This terrified Wukong, who felt small and embarrassed under his master's disapproving gaze. He realized that his actions were being ridiculed by his master, hinting at his arrogance and self-importance despite achieving only a little success. Wukong concluded that he was not worthy of being his master's disciple. It was precisely because of that thought that Wukong became frightened, dropped to his knees, and loudly confessed, "Master, disciple knows I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again next time." Wukong raised his head, tears streaming down his face, and pleaded, "Please don't be disappointed or dismiss me, master. There's still so much I have yet to learn." Seeing Wukong's sudden action, Houseen was also taken aback, his brows furrowed in confusion as he asked, "What on earth are you talking about?" Suddenly, the system announced, "Congratulations. The value of Wukong's latent power has increased from 5% to 35%. The host has received the reward of the Small Emperor Mask artifact package." Holding the mask in his hand, which resembled those of ancient pharaohs, Houseen was left bewildered by the sudden gift from the sky, not knowing what he had done to deserve it. The author bestowed upon Houseen the nickname, Professional Fly-Swatting Dog Nap Catcher, which he enjoyed while doing nothing. Hello everyone, let's move on to the next episode. At this moment, Houseen, along with his 2 disciples, ventured deeper into the cave. The surroundings remained dark and gloomy without a hint of light. After walking for a while, Houseen stopped, looking at the mask in his hand and wondering, "What is this thing for? Why doesn't your system provide any explanation? How am I supposed to use it?" The more he thought about the system, the more frustrated he became. It always popped up with task notifications and rewards, then disappeared without a trace. While he was still feeling annoyed, his 2 disciples were chatting animatedly behind him. Mysterious Lady looked unhappy and turned to ask Wukong, "By the way, let me ask, doesn't Master like to act like a rookie stage? Why did you interrupt? Aren't you afraid of being punished?" Hearing this, Wukong smirked confidently, "Hee, you don't understand. Based on my observation of Master for a long time, we have to cooperate with him to stage the rescue of the rookie stage as it's the most fun game. Master likes to pretend to be weak to catch the tiger by the tail. You still don't know how much fun it is." Suddenly, a blue-headed spirit flew towards them at a considerable speed. Wukong and Mysterious Lady immediately noticed it and turned to look with sharp eyes. Wukong shouted, "Which audacious creature dares to attack us?" As soon as the words left his mouth, the blue spirit passed through Wukong, startling him. Mysterious Lady and Wukong glanced in the direction they came from, indicating that they must be deep inside this cave. Following that, another blue spirit continuously rushed towards them, but instead of stopping, more and more blue spirits passed by. Seeing this scene, both Mysterious Lady and Wukong were alarmed. Houseen, looking down at the spirits flying by, also felt puzzled. He turned back to ask Mysterious Lady about the situation. Upon hearing his question, Mysterious Lady responded, "Master, they are probably mortal souls." After saying that, her expression turned serious, indicating that this matter was very grave. She continued, "But under normal circumstances, only with a specific divine weapon can one see them. It is said that only with extreme spiritual awareness can they be seen." Houseen, upon hearing this, paused for a moment and thought, who could be killing these beings? Could it be that little king of hell? After a while, the 3 of them arrived at a spatial gate. The aura emanating from this place was extremely sinister and eerie. Seeing it, all 3 were astonished and surprised, but only Mysterious Lady recognized the seriousness of it. Mysterious Lady then spoke up, "This aura is unmistakable. I never expected someone would dare to open a passage through 2 realms. Who could have such audacity?" Hearing this, Houseen became extremely angry and clenched his fists, saying firmly, "Whoever they are, if they dare to disregard lives, I'll strike them down and deal with the consequences later. As soon as he finished speaking, the atmosphere became silent, with no sound heard for several minutes. Mysterious lady, feeling puzzled, asked Houseen, Master, why did you speak and then remain still? Why aren't you taking action against them? As mysterious lady finished speaking, Wukong suddenly understood something. As a result, Wukong immediately stepped forward with fervent spirit, Master, if you insist on competing with me, I'll take the lead. I love being at the forefront. The staircase descending to the ground saved Houseen a lot of trouble. He cheered excitedly and gave Wukong a thumbs up, saying, You're really good. No wonder you have Wu in your name. This attitude suits you well. Mysterious lady, watching from behind, understood the situation and observed the interaction between the two, praised without hesitation. Wukong confidently headed towards the passage. Eventually, all three successfully passed through the passage. The two disciples ahead were full of vigor, while Houseen, lagging behind, felt a bit nervous. As he crossed the passage, he looked around cautiously for any potential dangers. Seeing the others moving too quickly, he shouted, Don't rush. Stay close to protect your master. Suddenly, Houseen felt something catch his attention. He cast a cold, stern glance towards one side, where he saw a demon beast with 2 long horns and numerous eyes on its body. What's more, there was a terrifying coffin-like organ in its abdomen. Houseen was so scared that he almost wet himself, stumbling backwards in disbelief. He shouted, Damn it, this is bad luck for real. There's a genuine ban on that thing. Pale with fear, unable to close his mouth, he sat in a corner trembling uncontrollably. Seeing his distress, Wukong tried to reassure him, Master, don't be afraid. It seems to be sinking into a deep sleep, but Houseen remained terrified, trembling with fear, and asked, Are you sure about that? The two approached closer to observe. Mysterious lady reached out and touched a tree root below. Suddenly, she realized something and widened her eyes. What she saw upon touching the root were the tormented souls of mortals. Their life force and spirits being drained away. Wukong touched it too and saw the same thing. Turning back to Houseen, he reported, Master, those tormented souls are all inside here, screaming in agony. Mysterious lady added, This must have caught the attention of the higher realm. So they sent a group of demonic beasts to quietly infiltrate the human realm to help him kill people and collect souls. Wukong, puzzled, said to Mysterious Lady, But aren't men Thursday in the mortal realm prone to madness? How can they act freely to gather souls? Seeing Wukong's confusion, Mysterious Lady explained in more detail, they use special divine weapons to set up realm connections before acting. It's not that difficult. She continued, It can even enslave a proud creature of a higher level, showing that the power of this monster is immeasurable, but Mysterious Lady coldly refuted Wukong's words, You're wrong. This monster isn't the mastermind, it's just aiding others in their actions. As she finished speaking, Wukong's face turned pale, and Houseen also sensed that something was amiss. Wukong couldn't contain his agitation any longer and exclaimed, What? Aiding others in their actions? His terrified expression indicated that the situation was far from simple. It seemed they had stumbled upon a very difficult situation. Mysterious Lady, no longer beating around the bush, looked up and said, Do you see the coffin hanging on its belly? That's the true mastermind of these creatures. Wukong, puzzled, asked, How did you figure that out? I don't sense anything special. Mysterious Lady's composed demeanor revealed that she had identified the problem. She replied to Wukong, Because I recognized its master as a senior figure from my father's time, a top 10 disciple on the heavenly place martial ranking. Hearing this, Houseen remained silent, while Wukong, unable to contain his shock, exclaimed, What? A top 10 disciple of the heavenly place martial ranking? With that, the story ends, and we'll see you in the next episode. Hello everyone, I'm Lucy. Today we're on episode 18 of this series. If you enjoy it, please like and support the video. After hearing the shocking news about Africa from mysterious lady, Wukong was quite horrified. Wukong immediately asked, "Am I hearing correctly? You said he's ranked 10th in the heavenly place martial ranking, this isn't a joke. Don't say such things at such a tense moment," Wukong cautioned. Seeing the eerie scene, mysterious lady also admitted, "Yes, I recognize the distinctive symbol on that coffin, so there's no mistaking it." Hearing this, Houseen was so horrified that his hair stood on end, shouting, "Damn it, why are we still here? Let's run, you two." Seeing Houseen's drastic change in demeanor, mysterious lady thought, "My master acted really well." Suddenly, a voice rang out, asking, "Do you want to run? Why don't you try running and see?" This sound pierced Houseen's tender soul, causing his face to pale and his skin to crawl with those words. And then, out of extreme fear, he jumped onto mysterious lady, clinging to her. Houseen cried with tears streaming down his face, trembling as he said, "Damn it, what's happening? Didn't you say it lost consciousness?" Seeing Houseen's actions, mysterious lady felt annoyed and didn't want to speak. Then, Wukong calmly explained to him, "Master, it's not that big guy over there, it's the sound behind her. Don't panic. Let me go check it out first." After speaking, Wukong also quietly followed the trees, his expression somewhat surprised. "There really is someone behind there," he muttered. The scene Wukong saw revealed two people tied up on a vine, while another figure stood below with slightly elongated horns. Seemingly not entirely human. Judging by the appearance of the two hanging figures, they were likely black and white impermanents. The figure with two horns and three red eyes spoke up, his face adorned with ghastly stitched scars. He said, "So the left hand and the right hand of the King of Hell have only this much skill? How disappointing. But don't have the illusion of running away anymore, with your strength you won't be able to escape my hands." Xiao Bai was badly beaten but refused to beg for mercy, insisting, "That guy is truly a monster, a real monster. Do you understand what I'm saying? 30 years ago, nearly 200 innocent lives perished because of him. It was all just to alleviate his boredom." The image of a ferocious demon haunted Xiao Bai's memories, truly terrifying. Just because of boredom, that guy slaughtered countless beings, sparing no one, piling bodies into mountains of corpses. With such heinous crimes, do you really think he appreciates you for helping him come back to life? Don't dream. He'll be the first to kill you." Xiao Bai spoke passionately, but the three-eyed creature remained indifferent. Showing annoyance at Xiao Bai's excessive talking, Xiao Bai persisted, "While soul isn't fully collected yet, you still have a chance to turn back." The three-eyed creature grew irritated at Xiao Bai's words, finding them nonsensical. With a loud curse, he exclaimed, "You fool! Do you really think I revived him to earn his gratitude? It's all for chaos." After speaking, he chuckled in anticipation of fulfilling his nauseating hobby. Upon hearing this, Xiao Bai was shocked and asked, "What?" The reason he did all this was to make the world return to the beautiful moments of 30 years ago. "This little life of mine is not worth much money, a death worthy of my sacrifice." Haha, he laughed hysterically, looking up at the sky as if he were mad, saying, "I think it's already wonderful, don't you understand?" Seeing this, Xiao Bai knew he was beyond reasoning. So he turned to Xiao He and said, "He's gone mad, there's no use trying to reason with him. Xiao He, let me buy you some time. Go report the current situation to the Lord immediately. It's best to inform the heavenly court to prepare for the worst-case scenario." Xiao He, feeling despondent, replied, "But how can we escape in our current state?" Hearing this, Xiao Bai's expression turned grim, his eyes revealing a sinister intent as he said, "Don't worry. I haven't played my trump card yet. Just focus on running." With that said, Xiao Bai unleashed the 100 Demons secret technique 33, and the scene above turned icy, illuminated by a blue light. Afterwards, Xiao Bai immediately released the Ice Lotus World, and snowflakes swiftly descended upon his location. Then, with a sealing technique, Xiao Bai sealed the three-eyed creature into a large block of ice. However, despite being trapped within the ice block, the creature's expression remained calm as it observed Xiao Bai's actions. Seeing the ice block in front of them, Xiao Bai and Xiao He managed to free themselves from the binding vines. Xiao He stepped forward to advise, "You should stop now. Using this technique will drain your life force." Xiao Bai, already showing signs of extreme exhaustion, even had blood oozing from his wounds. He replied, "If you don't want me to die in vain, then stop talking nonsense." Xiao He, hearing this, gritted his teeth in frustration, unable to retort. After a moment, Xiao He regained his composure and decisively said, "I understand." He then unleashed the demon arts technique of 28 crimson chains, drawing streams of aura towards himself. Immediately after, Xiao He shot off like a rocket with incredible speed. Thinking that everything had succeeded and he had escaped, Xiao He thought, "Xiao Bai, don't you dare die. I'll bring you back immediately. You must wait for me." But before he could finish his thoughts, the three-eyed creature lunged forward and raised his hand high to strike Xiao He. Xiao Bai was horrified to see him break free without him noticing, unable to believe that such a thing could happen. A thunderous blow from the three-eyed creature sent Xiao He plummeting from above to the ground below, causing a massive explosion. Xiao Bai called out Xiao He's name in alarm, but there was no echo. Underneath the explosion, a crater formed, with Xiao He lying motionless at its center, having absorbed the full force of the impact, rendering him unconscious. The three-eyed creature approached, its mouth never ceasing its sinister chatter. Xiao He weakly regained consciousness and pleaded, "This will cause so much suffering to countless beings. I beg you, please stop." Ignoring Xiao He's plea, the three-eyed creature only felt annoyance, his smile sinister and full of death as he prepared to strike again, sending Xiao He to the realm of the dead. He unleashed a powerful attack to finish Xiao He off, because feeling that he had exhausted all his fun. But suddenly, the three-eyed creature was horrified to realize something because his punch had been somehow stopped by an external force, rendering it immobile. His fist remained frozen in place, and he trembled in fear, not understanding what was happening. At this moment, his body couldn't move anymore. Xiao Bai turned around because he seemed to recognize whose aura it was, none other than that of the little king of hell, their young master. He walked over, bitterly smiling at himself for arriving a bit too late. Meanwhile, on the other side, Houseen received a notification from the system, "Congratulations, host, for finding the target." Houseen looked on in astonishment and then asked, "Is he the little king of hell I'm looking for?" Hello everyone, it's Lucy here. If you enjoy the video, please like, subscribe, and comment with your feedback to support me. I sincerely appreciate it, thank you so much. Now, let's get into the content. After the appearance of the little king of hell, the three-eyed creature couldn't move, but because of this, he became even more enraged. He unleashed his raging aura and firmly declared, "You want me to stay still? You're not old enough for that. No one can stop me." Suddenly, Xiao He was startled, and a massive punch was aimed at him. Seeing this, Xiao He felt like fleeing, but at the last moment, the referee gave a red card, saving Xiao He from a dire fate. Still, Xiao He was terrified, his face drenched in sweat, and the three-eyed creature's fist remained immobile as before, unable to move. He stood there, glaring at Xiao He with frustration, unable to land a blow. Then, unable to contain his anger, he turned back to the little king of hell and shouted loudly, "You miserable wretch, what have you done to me? Don't play games with me, release me now." Hearing this desperate questioning, the little king of hell grimaced and said, "You've got it all wrong. I couldn't possibly do such a thing. It was Master Qi Lin who did it. Fighting is one thing, but killing is not commendable." Upon hearing the little king of hell's response, the three-eyed creature pondered, "This cowardly demeanor doesn't seem like him at all, but why is his surrounding aura so terrifying?" It makes me feel uneasy. But that's not the most important part. What's even more terrifying is the mention of Master Qilin by the little king of hell. If he's talking about that Qilin, then he's already a formidable opponent. I fear I may not be able to handle both of them. With these thoughts in mind, he turned back to the demon behind him and said, "Second deity, lend me a hand. There may be two of them, and I can't handle them alone." Hearing his call, the second deity also seemed to awaken from a deep slumber. At that moment, the coffin hanging from the second deity's abdomen slipped out, leaving a gaping hole in its belly. The deity stretched out and let out a terrifying roar, and its vines and roots were covered in a deadly aura as it lunged towards the three-eyed creature. The creature stood below, mouth agape, ready to absorb the deity into itself. After completing the absorption, it let out a loud cry, saying, "With us, two becoming one, we shall reign supreme." Its face split into two halves, one belonging to itself and the other to the deity. Its aura surged, boosting its confidence immensely. Then, the three-eyed creature took a step forward and, with a solemn tone, uttered a threatening phrase. "Are you ready to meet your demise?" But then, in an anticlimactic twist, it froze in place after taking just one step, unable to move any further. Its aura of death dissipated, leaving it bewildered and motionless. Frustrated and enraged, it cursed, "This is ridiculous. Why can't I move? What kind of deity are you, anyway?" In its anger, it stood there, tears streaming down its face. "Don't play games with me like that. Who are you really?" the little king of hell demanded, waving his hand dismissively. "I'm just a lowly underworld servant, and all of this is Qilin's doing. Why won't you believe me? Or do I need to show you something to make you believe?" With that, the little king of hell extended his hand, dispersing spiritual energy around him. Suddenly, a giant figure of Qilin, with sharp claws, appeared and grabbed the three-eyed creature. Shocked, the creature almost wet himself and exclaimed, "What in the world? Is this the legendary Qilin mythical beast? I've lived for so many years and only heard about it in fairy tales," feeling the surge of Qilin's power. The creature realized that even if it merged with the second deity, it wouldn't withstand a single blow. Therefore, it quickly pondered how to escape. It decided to wait until its senior revived to save itself, so it turned to the little king of hell and begged, "Big brother, I know I was wrong. Can you forgive me?" Hearing this, the little king of hell promptly refused. "Sorry, but that won't do. My father has given orders, but your father isn't here." "Give me a chance to start over," replied the little king of hell. "Even so, I can't. My father has spies everywhere. If I let you go, he'll punish me," explained the little king of hell. Watching them banter, Houseen sweated profusely. The power of the 10th martial ranking was truly terrifying. Fortunately, this little king of hell seemed to possess formidable strength. However, before he could fully rejoice, the mysterious lady poured cold water over him. "No, master, that great figure hasn't even used a fraction of his power yet. Everyone, except you, must remain still. I can assure you of that. As for you, master, I'm not so sure," she warned. Hearing this, Houseen felt as if lightning had struck him. His hopes were shattered, and fear overwhelmed him. Thinking he had narrowly escaped disaster, he now realized he had played too big a game this time. Disheartened, he murmured, "How terrifying. Just the 10th rank and it's already this scary." While he was still in turmoil, Wukong burst forth with a resolute spirit and declared, "Master, this one is too strong. I'm itching for a fight," exclaimed Wukong, eager for battle. Seeing this, Houseen shrugged and said, "All right, give it a try, but be careful." With Houseen's permission, Wukong dashed forward at lightning speed. On the other side, the little king of hell also sensed a dangerous aura approaching rapidly. At the same time, dark shadows on the little king of hell's body surged outward. These were vines, swiftly binding Wukong. Though Wukong admitted the opponent's strength, he refused to give in, summoning a sphere of golden light with his hand, Wukong tapped into the power of the realm. The golden light infused his body, creating a protective barrier. With a loud shout of, "Grand Tao Triforce, break free!" Wukong managed to break free from the vines' constraints. Witnessing this, the little king of hell was astonished and exclaimed, "What is this power? It's terrifying." Despite the little king of hell's bewilderment, Wukong pressed on, ready to unleash a barrage of punches. The little king of hell, overwhelmed with fear, pointed forward and invoked the mystical summoning technique of celestial beasts. A majestic celestial beast realm formed, enveloping him within. Meanwhile, Wukong, unable to break in time, collided with the celestial beast realm and was thrown back by the reverse force, feeling as if he had hit his head against a rock. He groaned in pain, clutching his head. On the sidelines, Mysterious Lady's expression halted in awe as she remarked, "All of them are rare celestial beasts in the world, each extraordinary. Truly, heaven is unfair." Hearing this, Houseen felt annoyed. They possessed a mountain of divine power yet dared to complain about others having more celestial beasts being unfair. This reminded him of the exceptional talents and geniuses around, leaving him feeling inadequate despite being their master. Before he could voice his frustration, Houseen was struck by a bolt of divine lightning, causing him to shout in surprise, "Whoa, who's attacking sneakily?" Meanwhile, Wukong continued his relentless assault, unable to break through the end realm. Not only that, but not even a scratch appeared, as if Wukong was merely playing and adding to the spectacle of the celestial beast realm. Fuming with anger, Wukong clenched his fists and cursed, "Come out and face me fair and square." Hearing this, the little king of hell panicked and waved his hand, rejecting, "Demon king of master, how could I possibly be your match? Can I surrender?" Wukong, enraged, roared loudly in his face, "Surrender? What nonsense! What kind of man are you? Don't have any bravery at all." The little king of hell stubbornly refused to yield, stating, "All of this is because of my father's arrangement. Without him, I am nothing." Wukong, furious, retorted, "Nonsense! Are you suggesting I'm a fool? Summoning beasts relies on one's own talent, not someone else's arrangement. Demon king of master, please calm down. It's because of your father's genes. It has nothing to do with me." The little king of hell pleaded, "Open your mouth and you're your father, close your mouth and you're your father. How old is your kid and you keep reminding your father like that?" Little king of hell, feeling frustrated, said, "That's the truth. If my father hadn't allowed it, I wouldn't be able to act." Listening to him ramble on, Wukong became increasingly irritated and continued to punch the barrier relentlessly. Mysterious Lady exclaimed, "Oh dear, this nuisance is driving me crazy. Get out quickly, you wretch." Upon hearing this, Mysterious Lady chuckled as if she had won a lottery. Because of Tu King of Hell's poor boasting skills, who summons a bunch of mythical creatures and then claims to be worthless, no genius is enough to describe him, huh? Houseen, upon hearing this, immediately delved into deep thoughts, rubbing his chin and thinking, "Exactly, why do I also feel like this guy has been led by his father since childhood, preventing him from experiencing life?" That's the end of the story. See you in the next episode. Hello everyone, it's me, Lucy, back with episode 20 of this series. Right now, Wukong is still punching fiercely at the flying turtle above. Wukong, annoyed, asks not to ask about his identity. Houseen, looking up from below, feels a headache as he doesn't know how to explain to the Mysterious Lady. The demeanor of this little king of hell resembles being controlled by his father, as if he had been rigorously trained since childhood to the point where he developed the thought of being extremely useless, but in fact, he is very strong. The Mysterious Lady listens to his explanation with a bit of confusion, but to know more precisely, Houseen wants to confirm a bit more. Meanwhile, Wukong is still hot-blooded, punching continuously from the previous episode until now without stopping. At this moment, Houseen waves his hand from below and calls out, "Little monkey, stop for a moment. Come down and take me up there." Wukong turns back, confused, looking at his master, not knowing what trick he wants to play. After a moment, Wukong grabs Houseen's clothes. And he carries him up to where the little king of hell is. The two sides look at each other, still without any movement. Then, Houseen awkwardly smiles and asks him, "Little brother, I'm quite curious about something. With your strength, why do you always remain so modest?" The little king of hell looks at him with a weary expression and says, "It's not that I'm modest. Compared to my father, I'm just like worthless rubbish." It seems like he has a lot more to say but is hesitant to speak further. Seeing this, Houseen feels a bit uneasy and asks again, "Your father said that. Isn't that a bit too much?" Hearing these words from Houseen, the little king of hell becomes panicked. Raising his hand to vehemently object to his interpretation, "No, no, my father only wants what's best for me." Then Houseen thinks of something and asks him again, "May I ask a question? Have you ever been outside of the underworld?" Hearing this question, the little king of hell looks downcast and replies, "I've never been outside. My father told me to limit contact with outsiders, because there's a lot of people out there setting up multi-level scams. It's very dangerous. I already lack any talent, and being harassed by others will only delay my cultivation progress, and no one can save me from that." Hearing this, Houseen can only cover his face with his hand and lament, "Oh my God, it's like being trapped at home," displaying feudalistic ideology. Establishing such a mindset from childhood probably makes it impossible to save him. Wukong, unable to bear it any longer, angrily interjects, "Master, why are you saying these things to him? Give me some incense, I promise to break his cage." Houseen, tired of speaking, because his disciple only knows how to use his fists, reminds him, "All right, quiet down." After admonishing Wukong, he turns to the little king of hell and says, "This junior brother is a bit troublesome. It's my fault for mistaking you, causing this misunderstanding. It's a grave offense, please forgive me and don't hold it against me." Wukong, hearing this, is startled and doesn't understand. The little king of hell waves his hand and says, "Senior is being too polite. It's nothing, just a little misunderstanding. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave." Houseen happily replied, "All right then, you just take your time. If we're not meant to cross paths today, we'll meet again in the future." A moment later, the little king of hell also departed. Behind him stood Houseen's group, enveloped in a concealed aura and form. Feeling unsettled, Houseen turned back to Mysterious Lady and asked, "Are you sure this divine weapon of yours won't be detected?" She looked at him with great confidence and said, "Master, rest assured. This is my father's creation. He assured me that beyond the martial arts ranking top 10, there's no way it can be discerned." Hearing that this was a gift from her father, Houseen couldn't help but marvel, "Your father's treasures are truly abundant." Wukong, beside him, scratched his head and asked, "Master, then why do you have to follow him? Don't you want to take in disciples anymore?" Houseen raised an eyebrow at his young disciple and said, "Of course, I have my own plans." Houseen thinking, this person has such a low self-esteem, even if he uses the peak card, it may not increase his potential value. The key to enhancing his potential definitely lies with his father. While he pondered, Wukong asked again, "Master, there's another matter I'd like to inquire about. Has there been any issue with your body?" Hearing this, Houseen was surprised, "Huh? Any issue? Why do you ask like that?" Wukong looked at him intently and said, "With your profound strength, previously, there was hardly any leakage of spirit energy, but now I can sense some leaking out. Roughly around the cultivation of the 7th or 8th chi layer." Mysterious Lady, hearing Wukong's words, chimed in, and Houseen, astonished, asked, "Is there an issue?" "I've sensed it too. I thought it was just my imagination," she replied. Hearing their words, Houseen was astounded. This news was quite significant for him. He reconsidered, the cultivation of the 7th or 8th chi layer. It couldn't have been my imagination. Could what I perceived before be the spirit energy emitted from cultivation? He corrected himself, and my body has become stronger by using the peak card multiple times. He looked at his hands brimming with spirit energy and murmured to himself, if that's the case, then this intense familiar sensation couldn't be wrong. Then, Houseen indulged a bit more in his fantasies, thinking, could it be that I was truly the exceptional, powerful one before? And someone altered my memories, blending me into this worthless name. Lost in his thoughts, Houseen was suddenly brought back to reality by Wukong pointing and saying, Master, he's about to leave. Should we chase after him? Startled, Houseen snapped out of it and quickly ran after him, shouting for everyone to hurry. Meanwhile, at the martial arts arena, a chubby figure, accumulating crimson spirit energy, roared fiercely, try my ultimate move. After the shout, a terrifying stream of red light shot forth. Facing him was a slender figure, calm and collected, who calmly raised a defensive barrier against the attack, showing no signs of panic. Undeterred, the chubby opponent relentlessly pressed on with consecutive strikes. He swung his hand backward, forming a curved dagger, and lunged forward towards his opponent's chest. The skinny opponent spread a sinister purple aura and stood firm, seemingly waiting for the next move. But it was just a feint. The skinny opponent swiftly slipped behind the chubby one and said, is it my turn now, fatty? The chubby one, with red eyes, silently turned to face him, seemingly about to be caught off guard. However, he was not to be underestimated. He quickly turned back to receive a fierce punch from the skinny opponent. Their clashing fists created a resounding impact. The skinny one quickly launched another strike, catching the chubby opponent off guard, who managed to evade it skillfully. In response, the chubby opponent delivered a powerful blow, forcing the skinny one to defend with both hands. Watching this scene, the onlookers couldn't contain their excitement, exclaiming, truly worthy of the title, Twin Butchers, their strength is unmatched. One of them remarked, I wonder when we'll reach their level. To which another replied mockingly, your words sound more like a dream. Haha. While the two were still fiercely fighting, the old king of hell stood up and loudly exclaimed, enough, cease your hands at once for I command it. He glared at them with icy eyes and continued, a bunch of worthless individuals fighting is no more than bears brawling, devoid of any dignity. Upon hearing this, the two combatants stopped. The chubby one turned back, his dark red eyes showing signs of bitterness. Similarly, the skinny one had the same resentful expression. Gritting his teeth, the skinny one muttered angrily, once again, this old man wants to start bullying others, and with that, the story concludes. See you all in the next installment. Hello everyone, let's move on to the next episode. At this point, the old king of hell shouted out, interrogating, with your pathetic level, what tricks can you possibly pull off? Pathetic to the point that you're not even worth facing the me from 100 years ago. Upon hearing his scolding, the two generals quickly knelt down and said, Your Majesty, please forgive us, we lack skill. Before they could finish speaking, the old king glanced at them disdainfully and said, Don't call me your Majesty, you're unworthy of it. Then, he turned to the group in front of him and commanded, You, and you, and you, all of you attack me with full force. Let me show you how insignificant you are. Hearing this, the two generals were stunned, sweating profusely with fear written all over their faces. The king of hell showed no mercy as he urged, What are you waiting for? Attack now. Immediately, the subordinates dropped to their knees, trembling with fear, unable to lift their heads as they uttered, We dare not, we absolutely dare not. This single sentence instilled terror and trembling in the entire group, which pleased the old king, who thought to himself, even if I were to forgive them, they still wouldn't dare. Truly a bunch of useless individuals. But with the cunning mind of the old king, every word he spoke led to a new path. He then released a terrifying aura of dominance, his killing intent palpable as he declared, A bunch of useless people like you, I've wasted my efforts raising you. You dare to challenge me, unable to match me in combat, yet still dare to raise your hand against me. I'll consider it an act of rebellion. Now, you're truly despicable, he continued. The skinny opponent couldn't bear the humiliation and thought to himself, Damn it, I believed the nonsense from that old man's mouth last time. I trusted his words, and look at the bitter consequences I've faced. The image of the old king of hell relentlessly attacking the Western demon king until he was powerless to resist. Still bedridden to this day, showed how despicable the old man was, finding any excuse to attack others. All he desired was the pleasure of seeing everyone kneel before him and lick his boots. The twisted expression on his face disgusted his subordinates, who dared not even vie for higher positions in the heavenly realm. Instead, he indulged in vain displays of power within his own domain. He was truly useless and a hypocrite. Just then, the little king of hell entered and said, "Greetings, esteemed father," the little king of hell announced as he entered. Upon hearing his voice, the old king turned around and inquired, "Have you completed your task?" The little king of hell promptly replied, "Yes, father. I have indeed finished. The demon lord was indeed formidable, but I have already sent him to the dungeon as you instructed." Upon hearing this, the old king of hell raised suspicion and questioned, "Sent him to the dungeon? Wasn't I the one who ordered you to bring their heads to me?" The little king of hell, confused, responded, "Wasn't it you who instructed me to send him to the dungeon?" He then showed a special decree he had received, clarifying, "Isn't this decree from a special individual?" His expression still puzzled, indicating he didn't understand the situation. Hearing this, the old king became furious, gritting his teeth and glaring at the little king of hell. He played his usual despicable game, pretending to be indignant and always right, and said, "Are you implying that I misremembered? Is that what you're insinuating?" The little king of hell, frightened, unconsciously backed away, trembling as he said, "No, father, that's not what I meant." Meanwhile, the old king exerted his strength on his hand forcefully and asked, "So let me ask you all, would I make a mistake in giving orders?" Before he even finished speaking, the little king of hell was struck by a powerful blow from the old king, a terrifying punch that sent him crashing to the ground, his head buried in the dirt, engulfed in a cloud of dust. As the dust settled, leaving the little king of hell lying motionless amidst the wreckage, the others remained silent, too afraid to utter a word. They all shared the same feeling of fear and dread. The old king of hell then approached the fallen figure, staring down at him. He reached down as if to grab his neck, his gaze icy and calculating. Lifting the little king of hell and squeezing his collar tightly, the old king delivered a chilling ultimatum, "Anyone who dares to doubt me will meet the same fate as him." Then, he shouted loudly, "Have you all heard me clearly?" His subordinates, trembling with fear, responded in unison, "Yes, your majesty." Meanwhile, as the old king held his son by the neck, the skinny general couldn't help but think, is the old man using this opportunity to warn everyone? Even if he's wrong, he insists he's right. A ferocious tiger won't eat its own cub, yet he's willing to sacrifice his own flesh and blood to intimidate others, truly despicable, a vile creature. Is it even worth leaving such a legacy for his son? On this side, he still gripped the little king of hell's neck tightly and questioned him again, "I'll ask you once more, did I order you to send him to the dungeon or to bring his head to me?" Despite hearing this, the little king of hell persisted, "Father, you clearly instructed me to send him to the dungeon." Hearing the unexpected answer, the old king became furious, his expression changing rapidly. Sensing his anger, his subordinates panicked and exclaimed, "Young master, don't insist anymore, you'll really die." Their worried faces betrayed their concern in every gesture. Upon hearing the little king of hell's response, the old king raised his clenched fist and asked again, "What did you just say? Speak louder so I can hear clearly. I can't hear you clearly when you speak so softly." Before he even finished speaking, he swung his fist directly at the little king of hell's face. But suddenly, at that moment, a beam of bright light shot down from above, striking behind the old king with tremendous force, illuminating this dark and gloomy area. The old king glanced back, puzzled, not knowing what was happening. Stepping out from within the beam of light was Houseen's group, who spoke up, Hey, what's this old man up to?" Houseen looked at the old king with an expression akin to seeing a stray fish floundering in a dry frying pan. His tone turned cold as he said, I was concerned that there were too many people here. Isn't it a bit too much not to show some courtesy to you, old man? But now it's fine. Do you really need any courtesy? Upon hearing this, Wukong's fighting spirit surged, eagerly cracking his knuckles, thinking, great, it's time for a fight, aha. Mysterious lady glanced at the old king with utter disdain and disgust in her eyes. Then the three of them approached the old king, with Houseen leading the way. He no longer showed any sign of timidity, exuding a fierce and formidable aura. The old king of hell, with a dark expression, assessed the trio. Where did these dirty-nosed brats come from? How dare they intrude into my territory? And with that, the story comes to an end. See you in the next episode. Hello everyone, it's Lucy again. Today, we're going to meet teacher and student Xiao Han again. Let's go to episode 22, to see Houseen's King of Hell transformation. Right now, Houseen's group stands facing the old King of Hell. Wukong gets to fight, steps forward eagerly. Wukong's face shows no restraint and excitement as he cracks his knuckles and boldly exclaims, "Master, let me deal with this old bastard." As soon as finishing speaking, Houseen immediately responds, "No need, this time let the master teach him a lesson." The reason Houseen is so confident is that the cooldown time for the peak experience card is no longer an issue, it can be activated immediately. So, he's not hesitant to take on anyone. Upon hearing these words, Wukong is quite surprised but thrilled beyond measure, exclaiming, "Wow, master, you want to handle this personally? I'm really looking forward to it, and I can learn even more." Houseen then pulls out the peak card, thinking, the last using time has been reduced to just 1 minute. I can probably use it immediately this time. Indeed, just as he thought, the peak card was used and activated immediately by Houseen. Following that, Houseen was enveloped by a tremendous surge of power radiating from the underworld. Soon after, the most powerful form of King of Hell Underworld, known as Ching Guang, was activated. Houseen's aura at this moment isn't different from Songaku, version cultivating immortals supporting a super scion. After the transformation, Houseen was elated because he could feel a lot of interesting powers. He grinned coldly, thinking, this time, let me play with some other tricks for fun. With that in mind, Houseen sat down arrogantly, and the old King of Hell couldn't help but feel a hint of suspicion. Thinking, the transformation may not be noteworthy, but what is this aura? Is this an ability that only exists in the underworld, isn't it? Houseen, sitting on the other side, spoke in a confident tone, "Old man, let's play a little trick this time. I'll sit still for you to attack. If I make a move, consider it my loss. How about that?" Hearing this provocation, the old man retorted sharply. "You brat, wait until you can block my 3 moves, then it won't be too late to brag later." Houseen glanced at him with a look that said, "You're not old enough but say, okay." Then he raised his hand and summoned a lay demon. In an instant, from the summoning circle emerged a formidable demon with long horns, looking quite intimidating. As soon as it greeted, it charged towards the old King of Hell and threw a punch. Seeing this, the old man scoffed in contempt, then the old man swung his arm, delivering a powerful blow that sent the lay demon flying through the air. The impact was strong enough to knock the demon to the ground for a moment of respite. The old King of Hell smirked arrogantly, saying, "Is this the courage you boast about in front of me?" His words were dripping with arrogance and disdain. In contrast to the old man's bitterness and anger, Houseen remained unfazed. He retorted, "You're crowing too early. It's not over yet." After the lay demon recovered from its brief respite, it stood up as if nothing had happened. The old man glanced back, but his expression remained unchanged. To him, standing up was nothing to be concerned about. He also turned around and played Act 1, Scene 2. The lay demon roared furiously and charged straight towards the old man without any hesitation. It threw a punch at the old King of Hell, but with years of fighting experience, the old man swiftly dodged it by bending his body backward. Not only that, he also used the momentum to counterattack, preparing a curved uppercut from below. True to the script, the old man successfully landed a punch on the lay demon's jaw with a resounding thud. Following that, a swift left hook that caused the lay demon's jaw to shift. Not only that, the old man also unleashed a fierce uppercut from below, leaving the lay demon unable to retaliate. The battle was clearly leaning in the old king of hell's favor. And he continued to rain blows relentlessly, while his opponent seemed to be barely conscious. After a continuous barrage of punches, the king of hell grabbed both sides of the lay demon's shoulders and said, "This one will be the most stimulating." After finishing his speech, the old man ruthlessly tore the lay demon apart into two pieces, displaying a cold and merciless demeanor. Once he was done brutalizing the lay demon, he widened his eyes, grinned maniacally, and exclaimed, "I told you, you're powerless against me. That creature is useless in my eyes." On the other side, Mysterious Lady and Wukong witnessed the old man's brutality, and they couldn't help but express their disgust on their faces. The old king of hell continued to boast arrogantly, saying, "This little bit of power is nowhere near enough to face me." Houseen looked at the old man with a gaze that said, "You're still very young," and he smirked arrogantly. Seeing this expression, the old man's anger boiled, as he detested arrogance, especially from someone of his own kind, and above all, from a mere whelp who still smelled of milk but acted high and mighty. Because of that, the old man grew increasingly enraged, tensing his body to reveal a stronger aura than ever before, and shouted, "Today, I will teach you what it means to respect your seniors, to show reverence, and to adhere to tradition. Of course, I'll take your life to pay for your arrogance." Seeing the old man ranting on, Houseen interjected, "First of all, allow me to cut your story short. Aren't you old? You haven't finished playing level 1 yet, so where do you have the qualifications to fight me?" Upon hearing this, the old man froze immediately. The half-body of the lay demon at his rear was rapidly regenerating, every bones and other parts reconstructing at an incredible speed. After a few seconds, the form of the lay demon was almost fully restored. The old king of hell, seeing this scene, was astonished and thought, "Rapid regeneration? How is this possible? This is a super-level talent that only exists at the peak level." As soon as the old man finished his thought, the lay demon had completed its regeneration and stood up. It then lifted its head to the sky and roared fiercely. The old king of hell remained deeply surprised, thinking, "This creature is clearly just a summoned spirit, so how does it possess such a top-tier talent for regeneration?" Not stopping there, the other half of the lay demon was also successfully regenerating at an astonishing rate. Now, the situation involved two lay demons with their super-speed regeneration talent. The old king of hell, witnessing this, was left gaping, because of as he had never encountered such a situation in all his years. Seriously? Not only can they regenerate, but they can also split into completely separate entities, indistinguishable from the original. I've never heard of a summoning talent like this. Who exactly is he? Some kind of divine being from another realm? On the other side, Houseen, seeing the old man's constantly changing expression, smirked and said mockingly, Hey, I'm telling you, it's boring when you show that kind of expression, you know. We haven't played a single piece yet, our game has just begun. This is the end of the story, see you in the next episode. Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of this story. After witnessing Houseen's strength, the old king of hell felt a bit panicked, especially when he added the remark, our game has just begun, which made the old man even more confused. However, with his stubborn nature, the old man remained unafraid. He began to grow angry, the old man's eyes gleaming as he said, Good, very good. Then I have no need to hide anything anymore. As soon as he finished speaking, his aura became several times more terrifying than before. It must be said that his previous and current states were not on the same level. His entire body also changed color, turning into a dark red, exuding an incredibly powerful and oppressive aura. The old man roared in anger and fury, as if raging against the heavens. Wukong, witnessing this scene, grimaced and said, this oppressive feeling has completely changed. With claws sharp as daggers covered in a thick layer of bloodlust, the old man tightened his grip and let out a savage roar. His roar echoed throughout the underworld, showcasing his true power. Along with that scream were crimson shock rays flying to attack the Lay Demon. On the Lay Demon's side, it showed no sign of backing down and charged forward to engage in a bloodthirsty brawl with the old man. Seconds later, their attacks collided, but it was evident that there was a significant disparity in strength. Even in normal circumstances, Lay Demon would have struggled against the old man, but with the old man's buffed-up state, Lay Demon was utterly overwhelmed, unable to react at all. The old king of hell swiftly moved behind Lay Demon, preparing to deliver a devastating blow, catching it off guard. The punch carried with it a destructive aura, as the old man pushed his spiritual power to extreme. In the blink of an eye, he launched a barrage of continuous punches. His mouth kept howling like crazy. Lay Demon was bombarded with thousands of punches to the point that he had no strength to resist and instead suffered on the spot. However, at that moment, the second form of Lay Demon leaped behind the old man, ready to strike him. The old king of hell didn't dodge or evade, allowing it to land its blow. However, Lay Demon's hand stopped behind the old man, trembling incessantly. The old man looked back with a disdainful and icy gaze. The other demons witnessing this spectacle couldn't help but shudder in fear at the old man's overwhelming strength, murmuring among themselves, "Is the king of hell really this powerful? So he's been hiding this terrifying strength all this time." Next, the old man delivered a punch to the other Lay Demon, splitting it in half. It flew far, crashing into the rock wall and collapsing onto the ground. Wukong, witnessing the old man's power, began to panic, realizing they were not on the same level. Mysterious Lady is not much different from Wukong, both starting to tremble before the old man's might. Even if Mysterious Lady and the little monkey teamed up, they couldn't match the old man. The Lay Demon on the other side lay on the ground, its flesh regenerating but slowly. Seeing this, the old king of hell chuckled with satisfaction, saying, "Indeed, the recovery speed is too slow. I've said it before, there's nothing truly immortal." Turning to the second Lay Demon, he found the situation similar to the first one. Though it regenerated, it wasn't as fast as initially. At this moment, the old man thought with great satisfaction, "Though my Azura state won't last long enough, it's sufficient to destroy the summoned beast and kill its core." With this in mind, he charged forward, declaring, "While you're weakened, I'll take your life." As the old man advanced for the decisive strike, he raised his hand to deliver the blow, but at that moment, he hesitated. This was because Houseen called out, "Wait a moment." Irritated, the old man turned back and said, "What? You want to admit defeat? It's too late now." Hearing this, Houseen replied, "No, no, old man, you've got it wrong." He looked at the old man with a smirk and continued, "I just wanted to ask if you're mentally prepared. Because I've been sitting around too long, so I'll start putting on a bit of a show." As he spoke, he didn't forget to stroke his majestic long beard. Hearing these words, the old man seemed to pause, realizing that this individual held real power and couldn't be underestimated. Wukong, upon hearing this, grinned with excitement, looking forward to the spectacle. Mysterious Lady also watched the battle intently, unable to hide her anticipation. Here Houseen continued, "Let me ask you a question, how do you feel about the strength of my summoned beasts?" Upon hearing this, the old man smirked and sneered, "Is that all you've got? I'm only using half of my power, and that's enough to slaughter all of you." Seeing the old man boast like that without blinking, Houseen chuckled in response, "Oh, only half, huh? Well done, well done." After saying that, Houseen pointed straight up to the sky and commanded, "Come forth." From his hand emanated a powerful spiritual force that pierced straight into the sky, forming a fierce vortex. Seeing this, the old man was astonished and rushed forward, shouting loudly, "Are you trying to create a mysterious facade to prolong the time or to attack sneakily? I won't let you have your way." After uttering those words, the old man abruptly paused, making a sound of suspicion. He glanced over to where Houseen stood, and behind Houseen at that moment were large pits accompanied by summoning circles below. Seeing the old man break abruptly, Houseen remarked, "Don't be so tense, it's just a bunch of pits." The old man stopped and looked at him seriously, asking, "What exactly does this little guy want to do?" Houseen looked at the old man and said, "I already told you, don't be so tense. Relax a bit. It's just a few pits, nothing serious. Didn't you find playing with my two lay demons boring? So, I just added a little spice to your game to make it more interesting." After saying this, Houseen raised a finger to unleash a radiant energy. After that, the summoning circle began to tremble violently. First came the massive bare arm, accompanied by sharp teeth with 81 fangs. Once fully manifested, it raised its head to the sky and let out a mighty roar, its thunderous growl echoing fiercely. The large bear cub continued to flaunt its stature and strength. The menacing eyes, the sharp fangs ready to devour everything in sight. Witnessing this scene, King of Hell felt his heart pounding in fear, his face pale with sweat pouring down like rain. Houseen looked at him and asked, "So what, isn't this interesting? Is this little bear of mine enough for you to go all out? If not, let me call you more." But the old man didn't heed his words. At this moment, there was only one thought in his mind, that is to run immediately. Years of fighting instincts had taught the old man that he was not on the same level as the monstrous creature standing before him. Once he starts fighting for 3 rounds, he will die without a place to be buried. The little bear hadn't received the order to attack yet, so it stood there, staring at the old man with a fierce gaze, while the old man remained motionless in place. Because at this point, the old man's legs were no longer under his control, trembling uncontrollably, unable to support him. He couldn't take another step forward as his legs had lost all sensation. Trembling like a leaf, he thought, "What do I do now? What can I possibly do? So scared." Houseen remained seated over there, and upon seeing the old man struggling to rise, he promptly encouraged him, "Don't be afraid, it's just a little game." Not stopping there, Houseen raised his hand to unleash spiritual energy and said to the old man, "It's not over yet, there's more." The old man, startled and wide-eyed with fear, stuttered, "What more is there?" Houseen did not hesitate to tell him. "That's of course." Houseen put his hand back and spoke, "Heaven's seal awaken," causing a golden light to appear. The summoning spell also transformed into a dazzling beam of light, and a surge of fierce spiritual energy shot straight into the sky. The group of specters gasped in fear, continuously screaming, their mouths gaping open. The radiant sky gradually illuminated the entire area. Houseen glanced over with a smirk. In the distance, the little demon soldiers in the town couldn't help but be startled when they saw such a clear sky, couldn't close their mouths. The scene became even more ferocious than when King of Hell first appeared. A golden dragon's head emerged from within that beam of light, its sharp claws and majestic gaze directed down at King of Hell. The sky at this time with the appearance of a giant golden dragon in the air, below, stood the massive supersized bear standing. At this moment, the golden dragon emitted fierce aura from its eyes. Wukong, witnessing this spectacle, couldn't contain his excitement, despite having mentally prepared himself beforehand. He couldn't help but exclaim in amazement. As for the mysterious lady, she stood frozen in place, overwhelmed by the sight. In comparison to her father, who could be stronger? The spectating demons, overwhelmed with fear, screamed in terror, "Oh my goodness, the 5-element golden dragon. Isn't this the ancient divine beast that was eradicated thousands of years ago? Our Lord is finished this time." At this moment, the old King of Hell wanted to cry right now, but he looked speechless. There's no trace of his former arrogance now. He always reminded himself to stay calm and not to panic, yet he stands there frozen. Meanwhile, Houseen remarks, "There's more, it's just that this one still needs props to summon." He rummages through his belongings, searching frantically. Without forgetting, he says to the King of Hell, "Just wait a moment, I'm almost done searching." It's a gentle remark, but for the king of hell at this moment, it hits like the sound of thunder struck my ears. Damn it, is he serious? What did he just say? And there's more. Isn't this enough already? Oh my god. Hello everyone, we're back with the next episode. After searching for a while, Houseen pulled out a red card and prepared for the final boss to enter the arena. He chuckled and said, "Aha, found it." After that introduction, Houseen returned to a serious tone and shouted loudly, whose ancestors. Houseen had to tense his muscles and shout with all his might. From below, a dark red summoning circle began to emanate a terrifying aura, even more formidable than the grand entrance of the golden dragon. In the sky, clouds gathered, accompanied by ominous streaks of aura, suddenly forming a powerful whirlwind, emitting streaks of crimson light, as if welcoming an awakened demon god. The whirlwind became more and more intense, radiating unparalleled pressure. The wind's only echo caused the surrounding mountains to crumble as if suffering from its fury. The crimson dragon's spout wreaked havoc on everything in its path, engulfing the surroundings in a destructive aura that seemed to annihilate both heaven and earth. Houseen, witnessing this scene, couldn't help but marvel at the potential peak power of the young king of hell. He hadn't anticipated it would be so terrifying. The demon soldiers, eagerly eavesdropping on the events, found themselves petrified by the unfolding scene. They harbored doubts about existence itself, unsure if they were witnessing what they were seeing, wondering if this was the last time in their lives they would behold such a beautiful sight. Wukong and Mysterious Lady were no different from the specters in their reaction. Both of them felt terrified sensing the immensely oppressive aura of this creature. The reverberating sound of its dominance rendered them unable to fight back, gripped by fear. Even the two lieutenants under King of Hell stood frozen, staring ahead without daring to blink, thinking, no way, is this the end of the world? A giant blood-red eye, resembling that of a demon god, loomed down. Houseen, on this side, signaled to King of Hell, "I've summoned enough people, let's continue playing." The scene was quite ironic for King of Hell. Even with several resurrection armors, he couldn't muster the courage to stand up and fight. Just one glance from the blood-red eye could obliterate his divine form, a swipe of the golden dragon's claw could render him useless, and a slap from the gigantic bear could send him fly to the endless plain. The scene at this moment was quite humorous as the old man was being scrutinized by the three majestic creatures above, inspecting him down to every pore without missing a single detail. The confident and arrogant demeanor that King of Hell initially had on his face was now replaced by depression. Seconds later, the old man realized the horrifying truth of the situation and panicked, "Damn it, run, you damn feet, move for me. If you don't move anymore, you're reincarnated, hoo-hoo." Before he could take a breath, he was already shaking like a leaf in fear. His state of azura vanished instantly. Looking up at the giant bear head above, his limbs were already scrambling to move, let alone the two things behind it. After a while, he made up his mind to turn around and flee. The old man's hands were clasped together, constantly rubbing against each other, his face drenched in sweat. Despite this, he forced a strained smile and said, "Ha, I wonder which noble figure from the heavenly place descend on earth has come down to play with us mortals. Please don't be angry, quickly take back your divine power, otherwise I won't be able to bear it like this." Houseen looked at him with a cold expression and asked, "What's wrong? Are you not going to fight anymore? I haven't had enough fun yet." The old man hastily replied, "No dare, no dare. If the noble one raises their hand, us mortals would surely vanish into thin air, aha." Hearing this, Houseen decided to stand up. He approached the old man and said, "Well then, that's good. Now let me ask you again, how does my power compare to yours?" "By how many times, comma." Upon hearing this question from Houseen, the old man immediately chuckled awkwardly and rubbed his hands, saying, "The little man who used to be a dog's I didn't know Taishan. I would like to ask you to be generous and forgive me. We don't even not equal your little toe, no, not even your fingernails. I can't compete, as long as you want the me to become a dog for you in the underworld." You can command me as you please. Seeing the old man constantly spout nonsense, Houseen also remarked, you're quite skilled at flattery. Well done. So, if I were to tell you that I have a special ability, the power to summon the future bodies of others, would you believe me? The body we are using now is the future human body. How do you feel about that? Hearing this, the old man pretended to laugh heartily and said, Sir, you're quite the joker. That little guy is nothing but trash, how could he ever compare to even a fraction of you? Houseen reiterated to the old man, where's the joke in that? Whether it's a joke or not, you know better than anyone else, right? Because no matter what, the aura is still its own and has not changed, right, sir? Upon hearing this, the old man seemed to fall into despair. He gritted his teeth in anger and angry indignant. Meanwhile, Houseen continued to provide psychological counseling to the old man on the side. Have you felt the gap between you and your son, whom you have humiliated all day? At the same age. Are you qualified to carry his shoes at that time? Though these words may sound harsh, they are the truth. After a moment of silence, the old man addressed Houseen, esteemed sir, your visit to my underworld this time must not be solely for the purpose of humiliating me. Is there any enmity between us? Hearing this, Houseen clarified to the old man, I don't have time to waste humiliating you here. Are you worthy? The purpose of my visit here is to take your son away. He's not like you, he's a true genius. Following your useless will only hold him back, he said sternly to the old man. As for you, if you don't dare to fight, then just tuck your tail and leave. I'm not like you, bullying the weak. There's no fun in that, the lives of people like you are truly pitiful. Hearing these words of Houseen, the old man grimaced, cold sweat pouring down his face, unable to retort. However, with no other choice, he bowed respectfully and said, I understand, sir. I will leave. At this moment, he looked like he had turned into grey stone, turning away and walking off in despair, each step feeling like a heavy burden. The two generals, upon seeing this, showed no sympathy and even added, it's worthy that the kind of person who only knows how to bully his subordinates all day long like you will also be taught a lesson one day. Others chimed in, saying, why aren't you arrogant now? Let's keep going crazy, it's really worth it. At that moment, the old man approached the little king of hell, who looked at him with a perpetual sorrowful expression. The old man still wore that look of despair, but there was a hint of unwillingness in his eyes. Seeing him like this, the little king of hell couldn't help but ask, Father, are you all right? Before he could finish speaking, the old man angrily shouted, Get lost. I don't need your pity, as if by instinct, the old man threw a punch, but this time he missed the little king of hell. He screamed furiously, I don't need it. Tears streamed down his face as he cried out, You've humiliated me enough, you miserable wretch. But the little king of hell couldn't understand what his father was saying. At this moment, Houseen witnessed this scene with growing suspicion, because he thought there must be some underlying reason for it. The old man approached the little king of hell and said, From now on, let's consider each other as strangers. Don't call me father anymore. With these words, he turned away in his anger and frustration. The little king of hell remained expressionless, gazing down at the ground. Perhaps he was losing something, and Houseen couldn't help but approach and ask. Why is your father treating you like this? Is there something hidden in this matter? The little king of hell replied sadly, My father was not like that before. Although his personality was also very arrogant and domineering, he still had a gentle side, not like that. Hearing this, Houseen was also surprised and asked, Is that so? I can't see that he has this side. When I was little, my father used to train swordsmanship with me under the falling snow, patiently play chess with me in the courtyard, and sometimes even take me on adventures to explore the world. Now when I think about it, it all seems fake, the little king of hell said with a tone filled with bitter laughter. Because he himself did not believe what had happened. Seeing this, Houseen asked again, Then why did things turn out like this? There must be a more specific reason, right? At this point, his eyes darkened because of the cause. There was an unforeseen incident once. My parents wanted to celebrate my birthday by taking me on an outing. But by chance, we encountered a true divine beast. His words startled Wukong, who exclaimed in shock. What? I can't believe there was actually a divine beast. Mysterious Lady was also shocked to hear this chilling news. Although it was only a low-level divine beast, it was still at the divine level. Its power exceeded imagination. My father had to discard all the treasures on him just to reluctantly rescue my mother. I was lucky to escape unscathed because I was sleeping at a sacred place. After waking up, I discovered that my mother had permanently left this world. After burying her at that place, everything started to change. My father stayed by her grave for a long time, and later on, his personality suddenly became more ruthless. That's the end of the story. See you in the next episode. Perhaps the death of my mother caused my father's spirit to collapse, leading to such a personality. From being gentle, he turned into a violent and gloomy person, cruel and bloodthirsty. He would hit at the slightest displeasure, and resistance meant death. Later on, the violence also began to target me. Not only that, it becomes more and more serious, even turning into abuse. Speaking of this, the little king of hell becomes more and more sad because he thought the reason was himself. Perhaps my father still sees me as the one who caused the death of the person he loved the most. Hearing this story, Houseen was also somewhat surprised. He then asked, "So because of guilt, you endure these injustices?" Before this question, he also answered Houseen that it was not so. He just felt that if he lost his father, this family would no longer exist. I don't want to lose the beautiful memories of those happy times when we were all together, but now this fragment of memory remains only with me. When this tragic story is told, no one can help but sympathize with his fate, even making Houseen silent for a moment. Even Wukong, who was often mischievous, sighed deeply upon hearing it. Mysterious Lady couldn't help but feel sad because the situation wasn't much different from hers, but at least she was slightly better off. Then Little King of Hell said, "Now it's different, it's no longer important. Given the current situation and my father's personality, he definitely wouldn't want any relationship with me anymore, so I don't need to hesitate anymore. It's time to leave." He looked at the clear sky ahead for a moment, because when he turned away, he wouldn't see this place anymore, as outside was a much larger world. At this moment, the system announced, Ching Guang soon escaped the situation of being influenced by his father, increasing power potential by 33%. Congratulations, host, on completing the mission. As soon as the sentence ended, a card flew out from the system screen and was caught by Houseen. Congratulations, host, on receiving the Peak Fox St. Dan K reward. He looked at the card, his expression contemplative, mixed with various emotions, and said, "Suddenly, the mood is so complicated." The scene then shifts to another place, where tall trees cover a tomb, and the person sitting there is none other than the old king of hell. The old man looked down sadly and called out, Ran, in the end, I couldn't fulfill my promise to you." Returning to the past, when the wife of the old king of hell lay gravely wounded on the ground, she stopped her last breaths and said, "Yan King, please agree with me 1,000 times, don't let Guang Er know the truth of this matter, tell him that a sudden appearance of a divine-level beast killed me." Her voice grew weaker with each passing moment. Seconds later, many drops of sweat poured down from that emaciated face, and she continued to vomit blood in pain. When the old king of hell saw this scene, he couldn't bear it and shed tears. "Please, don't speak anymore. Rest now." Ran, knowing that her time was running out, smiled for the last time and said to the old man, "In the end, I want to tell you that meeting you has been the greatest honor of my life. Please agree with me. Live unhappily, and don't resent Guang Er. In the next life, we will meet again." In the midst of the thunderstorm that day, the old man's cries echoed everywhere, as if he couldn't accept this harsh reality. Back to reality, the old man thought, perhaps that great power could deal with the monster inside it, but it's no longer my concern. I'll follow her wish not to let it know the truth, but I truly cannot help but resent it, and I will hate it forever for taking her life. But after saying this, the old man felt even sadder and fell to the ground. Life no longer mattered to him. If only they were still together. Changing the scene now in the human world, beneath the celestial beast valley, a coffin emitted an extremely bloodthirsty aura from the mountaintop. At this moment, it suddenly had a slight movement as if it wanted to go out, and that aura became stronger and spread straight into the air. The little demons, terrified by this power, cried out, "It's coming, it's finally coming. The great Lord, once the 10th of the heavenly place." A dark red glow pierced through the coffin, and a man emerged with a sinister smile, exuding a ferocious bloodlust. The little devil saw the presence of that guy and laughed loudly. "Haha, success at last. We've truly succeeded. Our great Lord is the one who has resurrected you." He looked at the bright red sword with his emotionless eyes. Not only that, but he swiftly wiped out the group of little demons. One quick and decisive move sent the whole group to a haunted house. He chuckled eerily, saying, "It's been a while since I've smelled such fresh, delicious blood." His eyes, tinted with the bright red of blood, even his teeth stained with fresh blood. He reached out eagerly, shouting, "Come forth, come all. Let me slaughter this world once again, let the blood flow like a river." He continued to rage, angered that his best resurrection site in the underworld had been destroyed by others. He was not willing to curse, "Those damned bastards, I remember each of your auras, and I'll find you and tear you into pieces." While he ranted, suddenly, behind him, several small serpent heads emerged, mocking him, "Hey old man, aren't you embarrassed to talk to yourself?" This made him startle into silence. Not understanding what was happening, the one who spoke those words was the scout Medusa, a rather mischievous girl with a head full of snakes, who greeted the old man with a casual, "Hi." The space suddenly fell silent, for eyes staring at each other bewilderedly. He couldn't believe his eyes and muttered to himself, "Did I just let the fish slip through the net?" As he spoke, his fingers gathered magical energy, but before he could do anything, Medusa appeared under his arm, startling him as he exclaimed, "How fast!" But before he could react, Medusa appeared behind him, saying, "Pretty fast, huh? I'm behind you now." He was terrified, his teeth clenched in disbelief. His first reaction was to run away and keep his distance from this strange. He glanced around, still frightened, but with the ruthless nature of this person, how could he easily overlook it? He quickly gathered magical energy to create a giant sphere behind him, which grew larger and more oppressive with thick bloodthirsty aura. However, on this side, Medusa showed no signs of fear or hesitation. The girl pointed straight at him, aiming accurately. A "bayu" sound caused half of his body to be annihilated, and the magical sphere containing his power was punctured, releasing the energy to one side. He was so frightened that he opened his mouth wide, unable to articulate, "Damn, what the hell is this, what the hell is she doing?" He reminded himself, "Although my strength has not fully recovered, this scoundrel is unbelievably powerful. I've never heard of anyone like this before." Medusa, with an expressionless face, dangerously chuckled, saying, "The people of this world are weaker than expected." After those words, there was a gentle movement of the finger up and down. But it simply cut the demon's body in half. Even he, the 10th strongest in the heavenly place, couldn't react in time. While still reeling from the loss of half his body, he heard the echoing words, "Weakling," along with Medusa's 5-fingered hand pointing towards him. He only had time to realize and look on in fear. Medusa then flashed a wicked smile and pronounced, "Weaklings don't deserve to live in this world." Before the demon had time to regain his composure, his body was pierced into many holes and cut in half. Then under Medusa's gaze, he disappeared into smoke, but that was also the devil's last move. It transformed into bloodlight and escaped from this place. Even if it meant sacrificing cultivation, it had to run. Medusa looked in that direction and snorted, saying, "I let this guy run away. I can't fight kids in this world. I can run really fast. Big technique hasn't even been used yet." Fortunately, this demon escaped, but if this beheaded cross fell, it would surely disappear. Feeling a little regretful, Medusa noticed something, tearing open a space to peer through and sensing another cultivator here. Like a lens continuously penetrating through dimensions. Medusa swiftly said, "Let me see which colleague has come to play." The image reflected in that dimensional space turned out to be Houseen, advancing with his disciples. Medusa, excited, exclaimed, "Wow! Didn't expect a senior to be here." "Great, I'll go join him," Medusa said before leaping up and disappearing into the horizon. Meanwhile, Houseen's group had reached a mountain cliff. He instructed, "Everyone stop here." Houseen approached the cliff, preparing to unleash a big technique. The young monkey eagerly watched his master, eager to learn new skills due to his combative nature, while the other two stopped in solemn attention, knowing their master was formidable. Houseen took a stance and applied the golden light spiritual energy to his fingertips, preparing to release it. Moments later, a powerful technique, the splitting heaven and earth, was unleashed. A resounding explosion lit up the entire sky. The smoke and dust passed away, leaving behind a huge, deep cave created by Houseen's fierce blow. Wukong exclaimed in amazement, "Such power! It's unbelievable! This power is beyond ordinary." Mysterious Lady was speechless and couldn't believe her eyes. Ching Guang, curious but perplexed, looked on. Suddenly, a giant translucent claw appeared atop the mountain peak, as if poised to strike, the figure of an ancient beast with a single eye glaring down at their group. Witnessing this scene, the three disciples behind recoiled in shock. Mysterious Lady, unable to comprehend what she was seeing, looked on in fear. However, moments later, the menacing beast dissipated, and the cave where it had stood returned to its original state. Wukong, still somewhat bewildered and fearful, remarked, "Even though my master's spiritual energy is just a foundation stage, his strength is normal, but what the hell is that extremely terrifying ancient aura in the stone cave just now?" Little King of Hell, Ching Guang, remained largely expressionless, seemingly unaffected by the situation. Wukong also stepped forward and asked Ching Guang at this time, "You felt it too, didn't you? That ancient aura just now?" Ching Guang nodded in response, confirming, "Yes, I did." Hearing this, Wukong paused thoughtfully, pondering, "Indeed, I didn't misinterpret it. But what was that? Some kind of summoning technique from the master?" When Ching Guang heard Wukong say that, he refuted that opinion and did not think so. That thing definitely wasn't a summoning technique. Its aura is completely different from a summoning beast. Wukong widened his eyes in astonishment and asked, "Not a summoning beast? Then what is it?" With Wukong's suspicion, Ching Guang calmly replied, "I don't know either, so why ask me?" They continued to gaze towards Houseen's direction without turning away. Meanwhile, Houseen remained standing there, deep in thought. He kept his eyes on the radiant energy in his hand, as after using the peak card for the third time, his body could naturally unleash power without needing any cultivation. Furthermore, the familiar sensation was growing stronger, and every fiber of his being seemed to remind him that it belonged to him. But there is one thing that is not right here. Houseen was clearly someone who crossed over to this world. On his first day here, he was just as bewildered by the surroundings, so where did this power come from? On Earth, he was just a college student who suddenly met his demise. At that moment, Houseen took out a mirror and looked at his unfamiliar face, pondering, could this power belong to the owner of this body? But in the end it's not quite right. Because Houseen clearly did not inherit the memories of the host, so where did he inherit his power from? After a long period of pondering without finding an answer, he sighed, "There's no way to explain it, absolutely impossible to explain these situations." Moreover, after each release of power from this body, the aura that makes one's skin crawl, what's that all about? Wukong, unable to bear it any longer after staring for a while, stepped forward and asked, "Master, what was that ancient aura earlier?" Hearing Wukong's question, he concluded, even they don't know. I intentionally displayed it a second time in front of my disciples to gather more information, to see if they knew anything about it. But it seems they don't. But Houseen was quick to respond to Wukong's question, that's it. You guys need to figure it out yourselves, master can't tell you. Hearing this, Wukong began to think, it turns out that this is an indirect course from the master that needs us to understand for ourselves. As expected of my master. Truly a masterful man. I have to quickly learn from this. With such thoughts in mind, Wukong eagerly bowed and exclaimed, thank you, master, for your guidance. Seeing this, Houseen was speechless, silently thinking, it probably has come up with something enormous again. Then Houseen resumed his thoughts, if everyone has no information, there's no need to think much now. Waiting to use the card a few more times, the truth will become clearer over time. So the next urgent task is still to quickly complete many missions to obtain more peak cards, but before that, I have a rather good idea. After pondering, he turned back and called, mysterious lady, come over here with master for a moment. Upon hearing his call, mysterious lady swiftly approached and asked, what's the mysterious matter, master? Houseen leaned in close to mysterious lady and said, here's the thing, it's like this, you see. After hearing him out, mysterious lady replied with a nervous sweat, that's there, it's still there, it's just a bit strange. On the other side, Houseen was still murmuring, it's okay, just listen to me, do it like this. Mysterious lady also replied with a resigned yes. Over here, Wukong, feeling bored and reluctant to ask, turned to Ching Guang and said, master, what are they talking about that they won't tell us right away? Ching Guang, bewildered, responded, how would I know? Can't you see I'm standing here too? After some scheming, Houseen turned back and said, master asks you both a question, which of you two feels stronger? Wukong found these questions somewhat puzzling, and Ching Guang was equally bewildered. Then Houseen added, to make it easier to understand, mysterious lady and I discussed a bit. Whoever is stronger between you two will become the senior brother. When it comes to fighting games to see who is stronger. Wukong is the most confident person, saying, haha. What's there to say? I'm definitely the strongest, there's no one else. When it came to the great responsibility, Ching Guang immediately declined, saying, what senior brother? I definitely can't do that. Hearing this, Houseen signaled, your objection is invalid. We can't rely solely on words. The senior brother must have the strongest power, so we need both of you to try a bit. Last time you two didn't finish your fight, so let's have a rematch now. Besides, didn't the little king of hell say before that he wanted to worship me as his master? Hearing this, the little king of hell also said, yes, that's right. Master is the most formidable expert I've ever met. Following you, I'm sure to learn a lot. Then Houseen concluded, then let's not waste any more words. Put all your effort into it, if you lose, I won't accept you as my disciples anymore. Hearing this, both of them were stunned. Immediately after that, Wukong jumped out quickly, gleefully exclaiming, with his eyes sparkling, fair competition. Come at me. After saying that, Wukong clenched his fist and swiftly rushed forward. Seeing this, the little king of hell stopped speaking, not giving him a chance to react. Wukong prepared to throw a punch at him, but the little king of hell wasn't defenseless either. He immediately summoned his two kings summoning technique. Seeing this, Wukong swung his fist and shouted, I won't let you finish. Then dozens of punches flew towards Ching Guang. But suddenly, from behind Wukong, something was rushing at an incredibly fast speed. With his sharp reflexes, Wukong successfully avoided that attack. He leaped to the side and steadied himself to assess the situation. At this moment, a black dragon branch named Black Dragon appeared. Wukong was somewhat surprised that Ching Guang reached the point where he can still endure conversion without needing to cast spells. Ching Guang then summoned the Four Kings Beast Summon Quartet. Soon after, Xian Wu also appeared and enveloped Ching Guang. Seeing this turtle again, Wukong felt a headache and said, "Ha! This darn turtle is back again, but this time I won't let you off the hook." Wukong's eyes gleamed with fierce determination, then the black dragon appeared behind him and attacked. But it wasn't so easy. Wukong exerted his full strength, using the power of the realm. Brilliant quartz beads were gradually forming behind Wukong's back. A burst of dazzling power illuminated the area, and immediately, the black dragon was shattered into nothingness by Wukong's strike, leaving Ching Guang staring up from below in astonishment. Just one punch and black dragon is gone. Houseen, observing from the side, came to his own conclusion. Indeed, with Wukong's enhanced realm power, he is no longer a match that either Mysterious Lady or the Little King of Hell can easily deal with. He then silently pondered, but what if they both join the fray? Houseen chuckled bitterly and remarked, "Poor Wukong. Why do I feel like he's the only one on this entire journey who gets to fight?" Then he turned to Mysterious Lady and said, "You can join the battle now." Mysterious Lady smiled knowingly and replied, "I'm ready, Master. I've been prepared since earlier." At this point, Mysterious Lady began using her divine consciousness to summon her divine weapon from her storage treasures. After obtaining what she needed, she informed Houseen, "Master, I'm ready, comma." Houseen quickly reminded Mysterious Lady, "Keep it down, or they'll hear." She nodded carefully and replied softly, "Yes, Master." In her hand was a purple bird emitting a bit of an electric aura. She cautioned, "You heard, right? Be careful," then released it to join the battle between the two. This bird is the divine weapon, the divine eagle, which Mysterious Lady's father gave to her. As soon as the divine eagle touched the turtle's shell, it gradually crawled inside. On this side, the two remained unaware of what was happening. Wukong clenched his fists in anger and said, "I admit the turtle shell was quite annoying before, but it's not the same now. 3-realm technique pills are the greatest respect I can offer you. You can't beat me." With that, Wukong threw the 3-realm power pills towards the Little King of Hell. The collision created a bright flash, stunning both sides. The 3-realm power pills exploded like 3 huge mountains, shaking the sky. Wukong, seeing this, laughed triumphantly, "Haha! You've lost. You definitely can't withstand this move." Before he could finish his words, he felt a slight pain. The turtle shell showed no signs of damage. Wukong, shocked, exclaimed, "Hey, what's going on? Why isn't there any damage?" Furious and sweating, Wukong thought, "This isn't right. I clearly attacked it before." Deep down, Wukong knew that 3-realm breaking pills were already excessive. There was only one possibility: his opponent was still hiding their true power. Damn it! Now, only 4 pills remain. Even if I break this shield, he still has 2 divine beasts, making it useless. Wukong found himself in a difficult situation, continuously cursing, "Damn it! I underestimated my enemy too much." After a while of silence from Wukong, which made the atmosphere even more tense, Houseen and Mysterious Lady looked up at him and whispered to themselves. At this point, Monkey King's intelligence must have determined the situation. He won't act foolishly anymore. As for Wukong, at this time, he clenched his fists tremblingly and said, "Not willing," but Wukong said, "But really I lost," every word by a sense of frustration and trembling. Seeing this, Mysterious Lady asked Houseen, "Is Monkey King okay, Master?" He reassured her, saying, "Don't worry. He's the Monkey King. The more disappointed he is, the more determined he becomes." Wukong glanced mischievously and remarked, "It's getting more interesting day by day." Houseen immediately said to Mysterious Lady, "Look over there." She responded, "Master, you're absolutely right." At that moment, Wukong pointed towards the Little King of Hell and said, "Little guy, listen carefully to what I, son Wukong, have to say. The position of the senior brother will temporarily belong to you for a while. Someday, I, Sun Wukong, will personally reclaim it and wash away today's humiliation. After speaking, Wukong immediately performed a summoning technique, summoning forth a golden dragon from within the summoning circle. He declared, I will defeat you in the field where you excel the most, which is none other than the realm of summoning creatures. Holding a golden dragon in his hand, Wukong demonstrated that he could also summon his own divine beast. Seeing this scene, Mysterious Lady exclaimed in horror, isn't that? Can he really do that? Houseen, with an expressionless face, turned into stone on the spot, thinking, what the heck? He was so angry that his eyes turned red as he cursed, damn it. Has your little guy already learned summoning creatures? Isn't this supposed to be a bloodline talent? Do you have Kakashi's Sharingan or something? After that outburst, Houseen cried like a river, comforting himself with the thought, perhaps he was born with the talent for summoning creatures, just waiting to be activated. Okay. You can take the main character position of this comic, I won't compete with you anymore. At that moment, the system displayed a notification, congratulations, Monkey King, for encountering obstacles. The greater the disappointment, the higher the potential value increases by 5%. Ting, congratulations to the young King of Hell for receiving a great encouragement, increasing the potential value by 5%. The little King of Hell on this side was shocked and sweating profusely, thinking, am I really that strong? I had no idea until now. Houseen, upon hearing the system's announcement, chuckled smugly, haha. Just as predicted. Returning to the recent events, when Houseen called Mysterious Lady over to discuss something, he whispered to her, does your super badass old man give you any tools that can assist others? Mysterious Lady, puzzled but still answering Houseen, said, yes, he does. But what does Master want to do with it? Houseen quickly explained the situation to Mysterious Lady so she could understand a bit. It's like this, Monkey King has always been somewhat reckless since he learned the realm of chi power. Normally, he refuses to cultivate. Little King of Hell has self-deprecation, although half of it is because he wants to follow his father, the other half is really self-deprecation. So, the Master thinks that if we can let the little King of Hell defeat Monkey King, it might benefit both of them. It depends on their talents and finding the right teaching methods to make progress, Mysterious Lady agreed after hearing him out, finding his reasoning logical. She said, let's follow the Master's instructions. Back to reality, Houseen looked pleased and asked Mysterious Lady, don't you think I'm right? She nodded vigorously, indicating that she found it very reasonable. They clapped hands in celebration. Houseen then told them, all right, if victory or defeat has been decided, then withdraw your magical powers and leave. We have to go to our next destination. Suddenly, a voice interrupted, Senior. Are you playing with this rubbish to relieve your sorrow? Medusa smirked mischievously as she spoke. If that's the case, then. Before finishing his sentence, he leaped forward rushing in. A swift motion from Medusa's hand split the little King of Hell's turtle shell in half. Medusa continued to speak to Houseen, I also want to try this game a bit. Seeing this scene, both Monkey King and the little King of Hell were extremely shocked, evident on their faces. Even Mysterious Lady and Houseen displayed expressions of utter disbelief because they had no idea where this thing came from, and that's the end of it. See you in the next episode.